Chicago bar that wounded 3. Police say all 3 were shot early yesterday after the fight began outside Zachary's on North Milwaukee Avenue. Bond has been set at $1 million for a man accused of carjacking a person last month at gunpoint in the South Loop. Philip Smith appeared in court Friday on charges of aggravated vehicular hijacking with a firearm and armed robbery. The Illinois Senate's grand bargain budget compromise really comes down just to 3 pieces of legislation. There's a $36.5 billion outline for spending. The fiscal year begins July 1. The state has not had a budget since 2015 because of blocking techniques by Democratic lawmakers in Springfield, preventing Republican Governor Bruce Rauner from pushing forward with his agenda. The second measure provides language authorizing the spending, and the final is the third rail income tax increase and expansion of the state sales tax. Individual tax rates would go up 32%. Sales tax would now be tagged to dry cleaning and landscaping. Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is at it again, trying to get a lighter sentence. Lawyers for the imprisoned former governor last week asking a federal court for a new hearing. Blagojevich still maintains he's innocent of corruption charges. Farmers across southern Illinois are weighing whether to replant this morning. The latest band of heavy rain that moved through the state kept many fields underwater. Late last week, many of the state's corn and bean fields were pegged to be replanted. Of course, there's plenty of time. Most farmers in southern Illinois and central Illinois say they can put a crop in the ground as late as June and still have something to show for it come the fall. Chris Bryant homered twice as the Cubs beat the Brewers 13-6 at Wrigley Field. Cubs open up a 4-game set with the Giants next. Yolmer Sanchez smacked a 2-run single and a 5-run first. White Sox mauled the Mariners 8-1 in Seattle. Take the final 3 of that 4-game set, backing Derek Holland to the win. 5 of the state's 6 clubs in the NCAA women's softball tournament bounced over the weekend. 5 Division I teams were all sent home, while the Division III Illinois Wesleyan Titans, well, they're headed to the NCAA Softball World Series tournament in Oklahoma City. They will take on St. Catherine's on Thursday. The news service of NTB. Get your 5-quart conventional oil change today. $19.99 plus $3 disposal fee for tires, oil, service, and repairs. National Tire and Battery, that's all you need. 5:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
With all of his faults and the occasional misstep, the President of the United States has one more thing to hang his hat on. He's a promise keeper. He promised to fix the Obamacare problem, and after a few fits and starts, looks like he's doing it. He promised to bring jobs back to America, and no president has done better. He promised to return American leadership to foreign policy after 8 years of leading from behind. And he promised evangelicals he would take the restrictions off churches to let a pastor preach the way he wants. Hey, we're just getting started. For more, keep it here. AM 560. The Answer.
Need a new CPAP? Then we need you. We're CPAP.com, and we recently overstocked the world's best CPAP machines. Top-of-the-line devices from brands like ResMed and Philips Respironics. Call now and get one of these overstocked CPAPs for a fraction of the price. We'll even give you free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-500-5671. The best part? No insurance needed. We're giving out these CPAPs at prices so low, they'll cost less than your copay and deductible through insurance. CPAP.com has shipped over 1 million orders and has the world's largest selection of CPAPs and accessories. With no retail overhead or costly middlemen, we're the best way to get comfortable, effective sleep apnea equipment at incredibly low prices. Again, CPAP.com has overstocked premium CPAPs. Call now to get a ResMed or Philips Respironics machine for a fraction of the price with free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-500-5671. Hurry. When these overstocked CPAPs are gone, they're really gone. That's 1-800-500-5671.
5:07 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte. Good Monday morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. Well, things are looking better on I-55. We had some earlier road work delays just south of 355 in both directions, but everything has cleared and traffic is moving well. I-57 outbound at 159th. There's a rollover crash. That's now gone. Everything is reopened. In Aurora, Orchard Road remains closed. In Galena, and Indian Trail. That's due to a crash with injuries. Traffic as a service as well of NTB. Get your 5-quart conventional oil change today. Just $19.99 plus $3 disposal fee. For tires, oil, service, and repairs, National Tire and Battery. That's all you need. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Jim, thank you. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Let's get the update with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, breezy and warmer with sun followed by increasing clouds, a shower or a thunderstorm in spots late in the afternoon. High today 73. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm mainly early, low 55. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560 The Answer.
The updated temperatures are in 48 at O'Hare, 51 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Did we miss anything while we were gone?
You know, it was kind of a slow week. Special prosecutor being assigned, nut job comments flying around like hotcakes. No, actually, we probably missed about 6 months of news in 1 week.
Well, that's just kind of endemic to the Trump administration, I'm afraid. And we'll distill all of that as the show rolls on. But, of course, we've got a 4-hour slideshow of pictures from our trip that we want to get right into, a little theater of the mind, describing pictures of us at various activities with various people.
Funny you should mention that. Let's start with the fishing trip, because I didn't go on the fishing trip. You and a few of the guys
Yeah.
went out fishing, and you caught a big one. And literally, you caught a big one because I was singing Thursday night, in the local bar in Punta Cana like I normally do. And some guy came, Mike, the Amish, Ann B. Davis's bowling ball, came up to me and showed me
The
this.
Amish Ann B. Davis's bowling ball.
That's his new Twitter handler. He came and he showed me the fish that you caught.
Yeah.
And this thing wasn't this big or this big or this big. It was this big.
Oh, it was fun. We did a 5-hour tour, so we got about 10 miles offshore. And so you get, that's where all the big
dogs are?
big fish are. And
But what kind of bait did you use to get a big dog like that? It was a swordfish, right? 7-foot-long swordfish?
we caught a sailfish.
Okay.
And the bait was the, what do they call that? We saw them snorkeling.
The trumpet horns.
Yeah,
The
I think the ballyhoo, I think is what they call them. The
Sure.
fish, the ballyhoo.
Of course they do.
That's what they call them locally. But so that was it, just trolling 6 lines, and caught one mahi that was not huge. It was just good size.
Nice
It was
size,
fun.
Did you throw it back or?
No. We kept it. We gave it to the ship captain, and then we hit a good
the
one.
mother load.
Well,
Okay, so be honest. Who actually? Whose line was it?
It was a team effort. I mean, it's not. There's no assigned line. You just rotate through
Mm-hmm.
because you have 6 lines trolling. And so, these things get massive. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of pounds is how big some of these sailfish and marlin get. But this was about, I'd say 60 pounds, and it was about 7 feet long. And
it looked like 100 pounds to me.
It was
big.
It was fun, but I mean, it was about 30 minutes to get them into the boat.
30 minutes,
Yeah,
really?
so that's not. I mean, for as people who deep sea fish that are hearing this will attest, that's nothing when you get a big fish on the line, especially a fish that puts up a fight, as sailfish are wont to do. And then we got it in the boat, and
Well, who actually picked it up and put it in the boat?
all of you
guys?
No. One of the
Assistants,
crew.
yeah.
So it was a captain and his mate, and he fished it out when it got by the boat, and then I was ready there with the axe handle to beat it to death. So I was the designated beat it to death guy.
Did you
and
really beat it to
I
death?
enjoy every minute of it. They said,
He's dead. Please
Enough.
stop. Right. Please. Now.
Stop beating the dead fish.
Now, exactly. To talk about beating a dead fish.
Yeah.
You're just being punitive. The viciousness. Where does all the vitriol come from? That's what they were asking. But so that was it. That was fun.
And you didn't take any of the fish back to the resort because normally if you do, they'll cook it for you right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
no.
could have. We just gave it to the
That's
captain.
a nice tip.
Well, that's
That could feed his village.
Feed his village. It's a little bit of an overstatement. By the way, sailfish, not like a great eating fish, which is why you don't see it on menus at fine seafood restaurants.
I thought it was so rare that's why we didn't see it.
No. It did remind me, my grandpa and my grandma on my mom's side caught a sailfish in Hawaii on their honeymoon. They actually had it stuffed and mounted, and so it was in their home forever.
Where is a taxidermist?
And it reminded me of that, so I considered, but then so I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
so
would
just
have been
gave it to-
great.
gave it
Carry
to
that back on the
gave it to
plane.
the fish.
Now, I heard you guys were delayed because I took an earlier flight because I wanted to coach my girls' game or my boys' volleyball game. So thank you.
You don't know
Jeff
if they're boys or girls, huh?
They're transitioning.
Got it. Figured that as much at Blaine. So yeah, I mean, there's just like a little security blip. It wasn't that big a deal. So I don't know who you
What's
talked
a security blip?
There was half a dozen people that were on our flight back who were spot checked because I don't know. This will come as a real shock to you. There's a bit of a drug trafficking problem in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, there is.
So
Okay.
security was doing some spot checking, and 6 of the people on our flight, including 2 of the people who were part of our group, got spot checked, and they were delayed because something was found in some suitcase. And so I don't know all the details, but ultimately
Everything was fine.
Ultimately, after cavity search and some flogging, everybody was let on the plane, and we departed back to Chicago, and we made it.
Well, since
we made it back.
I took an earlier flight home, I was sitting next to this wonderful woman. She was from Argentina, and she golfed every course in the Dominican. She was at the Dominican for 2 weeks, and her favorite was Punta Espada.
Punta Espada is the Nicholas course.
Right, and you played that one.
I did.
Yes, because she knows that you played that one. Because she said when she was playing golf, some guy was playing through.
Yeah.
It was single guy with a caddy and was playing through them.
That's right.
And I said, oh, and I wanted to make sure that I said, did he have dark hair? And she said, yeah. And so I put up a picture of you. She said, that's him. I said, well, was he rude? She said, he was kind of rude.
How was I rude?
I don't know. It was so funny.
I mean, it's like the caddy goes up. I mean, I'm a onesome.
Right.
And,
I know. And
she was
with,
part of a twosome, I
Yeah.
assume. Right.
Yes.
I don't even remember. I played through like 4 groups because I'm a onesome.
Right.
And because I can play golf and I play fast, particularly when I'm alone.
Yeah, because I didn't hear this once. I've heard this story twice by other listeners, but go on.
Well, what am I? Was I supposed to stop there and have lunch with her? I'm just playing golf. So obviously you're not going to play as fast as I am.
Right.
And so let me play through and be on my way. I'll be gone in 3 minutes, which I was every time I played through.
She did say you play through quickly.
Yeah, so that's like I was rude. I don't know what that means.
I know people are. Well, maybe it was lost in translation. Maybe in Argentina, you stop, you introduce yourself.
No, you just wave.
Say, do you mind if I play through?
You say thank you, which I think is fairly universal, much like gracias. I think everybody understands thank you. And you just wave, and then you're off, and you're gone. And then you let them play golf, and you play golf. That's how it is.
Mary and Wilbur talk to you at all? Because they were with our group, and you played through them, and they were just appalled that you didn't stop and say hi to them. And I said, go talk to Dan about it.
What are you talking about? I spoke with him at the tee.
Oh, with Wilbur?
Yeah.
Oh. Maybe she was just...
And then I spoke with him at the tee, and he was talking about, we talked for a moment, but then, they're playing golf, and I'm playing golf. This isn't the time to socialize.
But you had to get golf fast because you had to get back to go on the boat.
Well, right. But what is this called? What is this? First of all,
people are too obsessed with you. That's what I think.
I don't want to be accused of poor etiquette because the Golden Bear on his course, because the Golden Bear could be listening to this show.
He'll sneak up on you on the 9th hole.
And I want to play Punta Espada again because that's a great track. So
I heard that was better than Teeth in the Dog.
Teeth of the Dog.
Teeth of the Dog. That's what the woman told me because she played them both twice, but she said Espada was much better. Espada.
They're very close. They're very close. Teeth of the Dog has a few more coastal holes, but I thought the inland holes on Punta Espada were better. So they're very close. They're both great tracks. They're both very difficult. I played well at Punta Espada. I played like a dog at Teeth of the Dog. I asked to be entombed under the statue of Pete Dye that's in front of the clubhouse there.
It was really that bad?
No, I mean, I just played bad. I think I was too excited to play Teeth of the Dog, and I was just all over the place. It was a mess. But Garrett Vespo, our friend from Arlington Heights,
Love
Heating and Cooling, he played with me at Teeth of the Dog, and we played through a bunch of groups there, too. So let me know if you hear more complaints.
If I'm on an international flight, I hear about Dan
exactly.
Proft. I know who this Dan Proft is.
And he, on the 12th hole, which is like a 445 hole along the Gulf, along the coast, and he drained a 60-footer for birdie.
Did he really?
That was the highlight of the round for all of us.
Did he just drop the club and say,
he should have.
Goodbye?
But it was great. So that was fun. So it was fun, and now it's all been ruined by these unwarranted attacks on my character as a golf sophisticate. And I don't appreciate that. And
you're going to have some words?
I'm going to have the record set straight. So I'm going to have apologies issued to both me, to the caddies at both of those courses, as well as to the management and to the Golden Bear and to Pete Dyson.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Maybe some drinky involved in that. Today's sun and then some clouds and warmer conditions by this afternoon, but a possible thunderstorm. High of 74 degrees tonight, showers and a low of 55. And for Tuesday, it's going to be cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorms, cooler. Highs in the upper 60s. Let's get into our alarm detection systems traffic center. The one, the only, Jim Telemonte.
Well, good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Welcome back from the tropics. And you can now play through on I-55 south of 355. There were some road work delays there in both directions, but it's all clear now. The inbound Stevenson's getting a little congested between State Street and Lakeshore Drive due to the ongoing work there, but it's no more than a 1-minute delay. The Ryan, traffic's bunching up just a bit between Roosevelt and downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, slight delays approaching the merge. Tollways are good. In Aurora, we have a closure of Orchard Road between Galena and Indian Trail. This is a crash with injuries, and getting reports that there may have been a pedestrian involved. So we'll keep an eye on that. Orchard may be closed for a while in that area. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
It takes a lot of courage to face your own death, but I'm glad I finally did. See, I was putting off getting life insurance to protect my family, even though I knew it was important. Then my neighbor's husband died. I watched her struggle emotionally and financially. It really made me face reality. If my husband died, how would I pay the mortgage, the car payments, or keep up the life the kids and I had? I realized I needed to get us life insurance right away. So I called AIG Direct. In less than 5 minutes, I had a quote. I was shocked at how affordable it is. Just $14 a month for $250,000 of term life coverage. I feel so much better knowing my family has protection.
Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now, 1-800-500-5236. That's 1-800-500-5236. 1-800-500-5236.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Whether you own or rent, you know there's nothing quite like a fresh coat of paint to make your home look and feel new again. Chances are one of the rooms in your home could use some fresh paint. Whether it's a full interior or exterior repaint, a creative mural, or just a fun accent wall, getting your home or business painted can be difficult and expensive. From searching for a qualified professional to choosing colors to negotiating a price. Not anymore. At PaintZen.com, we make painting fast, simple, and affordable. Quotes are free and there's never any extra fees or surprises. Just go to PaintZen.com, use code FRESH, and see how easy it is to choose from thousands of high-quality Benjamin Moore paint colors and price out any size job from one room to an entire house. Just go to PaintZen.com and take the pain out of painting. That's PaintZen.com, code FRESH, and get a fast, free, no-hassle quote. Visit PaintZen.com and use code FRESH to get a free quote for any home painting project. Go to PaintZen.com now. Use code FRESH. PaintZen.com. Code FRESH.
The Bolingbrook Golf Club, it is the location of our annual golf outing this year, sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford. But there's more than just golf at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Celebrate Independence Day at the Bolingbrook Golf Club this year, complete with food, fun, and fireworks. You'll find all the details about their 4th of July celebration at BolingbrookGolfClub.com. Go there for all the details. That's BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, the last week, including into the weekend, as President Trump ventured into the Middle East and spent some time in Saudi Arabia, has been a bit of a case that we've seen for a while now of the curious case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Trump. And Mr. Trump was featured in Saudi Arabia. Dr. Jekyll, the Dr. Jekyll version of Trump, featured in some of the other controversies of the week that we'll get to. But with respect to Saudi Arabia and his speech before some 24 Arab leaders, that was pretty good Trump. It was pretty good Trump, and it's being received very well, generally speaking. I know the Israelis have some concern about the defense deal that Trump struck with the Saudis. But generally speaking, I thought he hit a lot of the right notes, some of them including, of course, a discussion of terrorism and what the Arab states can do to help the West combat terrorism and the incubators of terrorism in North Africa and the Middle East. And there was this discussion like, oh, Trump didn't use the words radical Islamic terror, and Trump moderated his tone and so on and so forth. I think he provided texture on the issue, but he didn't moderate his tone. This was a very different speech than you would hear the previous president give in similar circumstances. For example,
still much work to be done. That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism and the Islamicists and Islamic terror of all kinds.
Yeah, he wants to share the burden, on the war on terror.
Right, but that statement right there, so he doesn't have to say it repeatedly. There's no threshold in terms of the number of times. But to Arab leaders to talk about Islamic extremism, the Islamists, and radical Islamic terror in all its forms, that is a specific statement on the topic. That is qualitatively different than we have heard from the previous president, than we have heard from Democrats, that we've even heard from some neocon Republicans. So I just wanted to draw people's attention to that because I've seen a lot of the press coverage, and it kind of glossed over that portion of his speech.
And I like when he reminded them how we, America, as a country, has suffered.
Drive them out of your places of worship. Drive them out of your communities. Drive them out of your holy land. And drive them out of this earth.
But basically, snub them out. They need to be handled. And if you can't handle them, then we will. So I thought he was very strong when it came to that.
And just continuing on, if you the message, if you choose the path of terror.
If you choose the path of terror, your life will be empty, your life will be brief, and your soul will be fully condemned. And political leaders must speak out to affirm the same idea. Heroes don't kill innocents, they save them.
Wow.
That's about as good as 17 seconds as you're going to get on the topic. And there were flourishes like that replete throughout his speech, including a specific address to young people in these Islamic theocracies. It was kind of with young people in mind, I should say more accurately, with young people in mind, but a message to the old guard.
Some estimates hold that more than 95% of the victims of terrorism are themselves Muslim. We now face a humanitarian and security disaster in this region that is spreading across the planet. It is a tragedy of epic proportions. No description of the suffering and depravity can begin to capture its full measure. The control of ISIS, if you look at what's happening, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, Hamas, and so many others must be counted not only in the number of dead, it also must be counted in generations of vanished dreams. The Middle East is rich with natural beauty, vibrant cultures, and massive amounts of historic treasures. It should increasingly become one of the great global centers of commerce and opportunity. This region should not be a place from which refugees flee, but to which newcomers flock.
I don't know what your take is on President Trump and Saudi Arabia, but remember what he's attempting to do and what this administration is attempting to do. Rebalance the Middle East. Strengthen the Saudis' position against Iran, even though the Saudis, I understand, have been bad actors. And they understand that, too. And McMaster was on with Clinton Foundation Zero, Stephanopoulos, this weekend, expressing that viewpoint. But the Iranians present an existential threat to this country where the Saudis do not. And this is essentially a struggle for hegemony in the region between those two countries. And it was the scale or the weight of the administration was put much too heavily on the Iranian side in the previous regime. And this is an attempt to not just reset, but rebalance those poles in the Middle East. And that's an important mission. And I thought Trump performed rather beautifully on the topic. One other thing on this, too, just with respect to the Sauds. Ivanka was there.
Oh, yeah.
She gave a speech about women's rights.
She did, and so did Melania. I mean, she went to a girls' school and then met with some female business leaders.
And even though this is a trust but verify situation with the Saudis, Wall Street Journal pointed out that the deputy crown prince, the 31-year-old Mohammed bin Salman, he has been more forward-looking when it comes to matters like religious tolerance and women's rights in the public space. So, there is potentially upside with the Saudis as they modernize and liberalize small L. And on the other side, with the Iranians, what did they do? They reelected Rouhani. So this has been an important trip and so far a successful trip as Trump moves on to visit with his friend Bibi in Israel.
Well, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, more about President Trump's first foreign trip. He has now landed in Israel. And later, Dan, a new plan from Mayor Emanuel in his response to fight federal immigration policies. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 52 degrees in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. President Trump is in Israel this morning, moving on to stop number 2 of his first foreign trip.
On my first trip overseas as president, I have come to this sacred and ancient land to reaffirm the unbreakable bond between the United States and the State of Israel.
Air Force One flying into the Jewish state from Saudi Arabia, marking what's believed to be the first ever direct flight between those two countries. Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse says there's lots that troubles him regarding the recent firing of FBI Director James Comey.
We all need to be looking forward to the task of trying to rebuild trust in a lot of these institutions. The FBI doesn't take loyalty pledges to an individual.
Sasse on ABC's This Week. The Republican did praise the appointment of former FBI Director Robert Mueller as Justice Department Special Counsel. There are reports that Ford CEO Mark Fields is out this morning. Forbes magazine, New York Times, and Detroit News, many other reporting agencies saying Ford will announce Fields' dismissal today. Times and Forbes report the carmaker's board of directors has lost patience with Ford's stagnant stock price. Board member Jim Hackett may replace Fields. President Trump's first comprehensive budget proposal will reportedly include cuts to Medicaid and other programs that help low-income families. Washington Post reporting this morning cuts for Medicaid could affect some 10 million. Authorities investigating the murder of a black college student as a hate crime. Police have charged Sean Urbanski with first and second degree murder in the death of Richard Collins III. Lawyers in Bill Cosby's sex assault case this week hope to find a dozen jurors and 6 alternates willing to be sequestered nearly 300 miles from home. Case has now attracted worldwide publicity. Judge hopes to shield that from jurors when the trial begins June 5 in suburban Philadelphia. The investigation continues after a man was found shot to death in a mall parking garage over the weekend in Skokie. Bond set at $1 million for a man accused of carjacking a person last month at gunpoint in Chicago's South Loop. Former President Barack Obama's birthday could become a holiday in Illinois, but don't celebrate just yet. You won't get a day off from work or school. The Illinois House approved on Friday a plan to make the president's birthday, August 4th, a commemorative holiday only. Cubs beat the Brewers 13-6. Sox and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Skip traffic and save money with Metra's 96% on-time dependability and 10-ride ticket that makes every 10th ride free. For fares and schedules, visit metrorail.com.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference. At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. And be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire program. Where else can you get a great deal on a new Nissan, a Lifetime Advantage warranty, and a Lifetime Tire program? The little things make all the difference. While all Nissans may be created equal, the difference is clearly Nissan of St. Charles. Located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. That's nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
When you have sleep apnea, traveling can be a real drag because you have to drag your big, bulky home CPAP device with you everywhere you go. But not anymore. Now you can travel easily and sleep comfortably anywhere thanks to Transcend, the world's very first mini CPAP. And right now, you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. So call now, 1-800-400-1841. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. You can even add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. Transcend is so incredibly small and light, you can easily fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Now you can enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. But don't delay. To receive your 10-night in-home trial, call minicpap.com now. 1-800-400-1841. Again, that's 1-800-400-1841.
536 and a check of the roads in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. And Aurora Orchard Road remains shut down between Galena Boulevard and Indian Trail after a collision with injuries involved. Edens is clear, so is the Kennedy. Mount Eisenhower getting a little congestion just past 25th Avenue. And Mount Stevenson, we see delays Cicero to Kedzie and State to Lakeshore Drive. 38 minutes, 3:55 to the drive.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, sunny this early morning. Clouds on the increase for the afternoon, breezy and warmer into the evening with a possible thunderstorm and a high of 74. Currently 48 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, rest in peace, Chris Cornell.
I can't believe you didn't hear the news last week. I mean, it was late last week, but he had a show in Detroit and then went back to his hotel room, called his wife, and she said that he had slurred speech, and he was taking Ativan, and that she thinks he might have overdosed on that, and that caused him to hang himself in his hotel room in Detroit. So, but you're a huge fan?
Huge Soundgarden fan, huge Audio Slave fan. will be playing Spoon Man it's from the 7 and 8 o'clock hours. It's
the whole time.
The 2 hours of Spoon Man. So get ready for it.
I didn't have you pegged as a Soundgarden fan.
No, huge Soundgarden fan.
Uh-huh.
And huge Audioslave fan, huge Chris Cornell fan. He was mad talented.
Mm-hmm. He was one of the grungers, right?
One of the founders of grunge rock, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't say I knew who he was when I heard that he died.
You didn't know who Chris Cornell was?
I know what Soundgarden is. I'm not that. No, I'm not into grunge. I kind of put it off.
Yeah, I understand.
He kind of sounds like Eddie Vedder, you know. So.
Well, it's a plus. I mean, that's kind of a couple of generations after your coming of age.
Exactly.
So you were kind of more Little Richard.
Yeah.
You were like the origins of rock and roll phase, not the origins of grunge.
But Chris Cornell's wife this morning, she thinks it wasn't suicide, but yet he was found hanging in his hotel room. Yeah. But she said that, again, the Ativan did it because the day of the concert, he spent time with his children, talked about plans for Memorial Day weekend, and then he flew to the concert. And then that happened. Oh my gosh, you're all banged up. Are you okay?
I mean, you
need to have a moment.
You hate to see talented people's lives cut short, particularly at their own hands, and what the thinking was or what prompted that. It's just a sad story. All right, well, we've got to turn to the political world, and
that's a sad story too.
Well, it's a complicated story, although it's actually not that complicated. But the question I put to you and our friends in the listening audience: is there a slow motion coup going on between the Fourth Estate in D.C., the D.C. Press Corps, and the collection of never-Trumpers, both in the Democrat Party and some in the Republican Party as well? That was the argument that Kurt Schlichter made in townhall.com in his most recent piece. Pretty compelling piece, basically saying that there is a coup against, not basically saying, this is what he wrote, there is a coup against us. It's a coordinated campaign by liberals and their allies in the bureaucracy and media to once and for all ensure their perpetual rule over us. We need to fight it here and now so we don't have to fight it down at the bottom of this slippery slope. It's brazen, it's bold, it's insulting toward intelligence. They aren't even trying to hide their lies anymore. This is a choreographed dance routine, and everyone has his moves. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Do you believe there is this slow motion coup against Trump afoot, and that we are in a survivalist mode, or the Trump administration should be, to either fight or fold? Take your calls on that, Amy.
Well, I mean, Senator John McCain, he's not really backing President Trump. He seems very concerned.
Isn't. No, he's
but
not.
I always listen to what Senator McCain has to say because he's the moderate, squishy-wishy Republican there in the Senate floor. And he was on one of the Sunday talk shows talking about talking about President Trump allegedly call me a nut job.
I'm speechless because I don't know why someone would say something like that. But I know this: Mr. Lavrov is the stooge of a thug and a murderer who used Russian precision weapons to strike hospitals in Aleppo, who's committed human rights violations all over the place, has invaded Ukraine, has taken Crimea, has acted in the most thuggish and outrageous fashion, and he had no business in the Oval Office. If there's a president to Putin engagement in a meeting, I think that's under the right circumstances, that might be okay. But not this stooge Lavrov, who is nothing but a propagandist.
So he was mad that the foreign minister of Russia was in the Oval Office where the comment of nut job was made. Allegedly.
I think, is that the most important distinction to make at this point in time? I agree with McCain that the Putin regime is autocratic and full of thugs, starting with a thug at the top. Concede the point. By the way, it is worth noting over the weekend, as Trump was reestablishing stronger ties with the Saudis. I mean, understand the geopolitics of the Middle East, remember? Who is Russia on the side of in that struggle for hegemony in the region between the Saudis and the Iranians?
Iranians.
Right. So, it's one thing to call Lavrov a stooge for Putin. Of course, that's true. It's another thing to suggest Trump is. And there's a lot of evidence in terms of the policy positions the Trump administration has taken, and and part of that is the personnel decisions he's made, like McMaster, that suggest otherwise. So, I understand McCain's penchant for moral preening on these topics. I'm not sure what that statement does to address the underlying movement afoot to depose Trump. And by the way, it's not just op-ed writers like Kurt Schlichter, who's very pointed in his commentary, but often very insightful as well. It's also Newt Gingrich, former House Speaker, had an op-ed on the Fox News website over the weekend, "Surrender or fight, our country's at stake." Republicans, in particular the Trump administration, are approaching a historic decision that will reshape America for generations to come. The endless hostility of the left and the dishonest elite media are all part of the efforts to defeat the reforms and changes that President Trump was elected to implement. The constant anonymous leaks from disgruntled federal bureaucrats aim to provide ammo for the propaganda news media to press the attack. The left's dance of destruction is stunningly choreographed. So he's talking about the crossroads that both President Trump as well as congressional Republicans are approaching and the decision they have to make. This is a dicey time for the Republican Party generally and at the national level and for the Trump administration specifically. And I put the question again, do you feel like there is legitimate inquiry going on? Is it just a slow motion coup? Is it some combination of the two? Victor Davis Hanson, who's a thoughtful guy, scholar, academic, he was on with Tucker Carlson on the topic, and here's what VDH had to say on this matter.
I mean, we've had a whole cadre of Washington and New York reporters have done nothing other than for 6 months using all of their tools at their disposal, their genius, their experience to prove that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians. They can't find anything. They haven't spent commiserate time to look at who was unmasking individuals, and that may come out from the House Intelligence Committee. But what we're seeing here, I don't want to be too dramatic, is sort of historically a slow motion coup where you have a nexus of celebrities, academics, the Democratic and progressive parties, and then you have the media, and they feel that they can delegitimize a president with 1,000 nicks. None of them insignificant in themselves, but they coalesce to build a narrative that Trump is inexperienced, that he's uncouth, that he's crude, that he's reckless. And each day, the point is to drive his popularity down half a point, 1 point, until he can't function in Congress because purple state congressional representatives don't want to take the risk to further his initiatives. Meanwhile, the ACA, the tax reform, his appointments, everybody agrees they've been excellent. So there's Trump, the message and the agenda, versus Trump, the demonized president.
I mean, the Washington Post writers, Dan, were handing out high fives over their latest coup that there's another White House official who's part of this Russian probe. It's probably, Jared Kushner. Like, they were celebrating. They love anything to bring him down, and they are not going to stop until he's impeached.
Well, here's the data on the topic. I mean, for one of the component parts of this slow motion coup, as VDH describes it. This is a Harvard University study analyzing news coverage of President Trump's first 100 days. It was 80% negative, 20% positive. Compare that to Obama's first 100 days, 59% positive, which was 59% positive, so 3 times the positive coverage that Trump received. Now you could argue, well, Trump has brought some of this on himself. Fine. 3 times? And then the numbers by outlet. CNN, 93% negative. This is Harvard study. NBC, 93% negative. CBS, 91% negative. New York Times, 87% negative. Washington Post, 83% negative. Wall Street Journal, 70% negative. Fox News, 52% negative.
Really?
So that is a lot to go up against. The media have influence. There's no question about it. And if you don't think so, just think about this question that I always ask liberal journalists, and I never get a straight answer. Do you think if 90% of the D.C. press corps voted for the Republican candidate for president for the last 50 years, as is the case conversely, would the coverage be different? Would the stories be different?
Just a little bit different.
So think about that when you,
Dad.
contemplate the influence question. Candace and DuPage, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Welcome back, you guys.
Thank you.
They say that you should listen when somebody's trying to tell you something. And my second comment that I wanted to make is that I've always known from day one afterwards, they said, we're going to impeach him. And if people out there do not think that their property rights are not at stake, that everything's on the table this time because these people have ripped the mask off completely. I mean, we really see what they are now. They're not even hiding it,
Yeah.
So everything's going to be, they've really come out, and it's pretty scary. I think that we're really at risk.
Thanks for the call, Candace. Dennis in New Buffalo.
Dan, I'll tell you what, McCain and that little runt's been hide behind that POW garbage.
No, it's not garbage. POW is not garbage.
It is POW garbage. Me, my cousin, and my brother got almost 100 years of active duty. My brother and my cousin got 10 tours in Afghanistan.
This isn't a competition.
I don't want to hear about him with the moral high ground. He didn't do nothing. He had his run at president. He didn't do nothing to push the Hillary conviction with all that garbage. And now he's coming down on his own, a guy that really wants to protect this country. You know what? That's the Manchurian candidate is McCain.
All right, thanks for the call, Dennis.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
Hey, this live read is going out to my good friend Jennifer Tyson, who wakes up every morning with her MyPillow with her radio. Or her iPhone underneath her MyPillow, so that's how she wakes up every morning.
Yeah, Jonathan and Jennifer
Jennifer
are Wichita team leaders.
Yes, they are. We love them, and I love her even more because she sleeps every night on a MyPillow. Why? Because a good night's sleep is so important for your health. And for the month of May, you can still receive the 50% discount on the MyPillow 4-pack of 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. Now, with MyPillow, you can move the patented fill just like Jennifer does to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer. No more waking up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell makes them right here in the USA using only American labor. You can wash and dry your MyPillow, and they're hypoallergenic. And, of course, you get the 10-year warranty with the 60-day money-back guarantee. So for the month of May, get 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy. Or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201. Promo code Amy.
Speed Queen washers and dryers, with a long history of use in laundromats and hospitals, come with an industry-leading 5-year warranty. How can we offer a warranty of such length? Because we're assuming you'll never need to use it. Not with Speed Queen's sturdy construction and commercial-quality metal components. So, enjoy your Speed Queen for 25 years. Unless you're washing bricks or drying bowling balls, which will almost certainly void the warranty. Visit us at speedqueen.com.
It's time to gear up for summer fun. The Ready to Ride sales event is here. Looking to ride the waves? Check out our selection of Sea-Doo watercraft. Want to tear up the trails? Shop our selection of Can-Am ATVs and side-by-sides. Or rev up for open road adventures with the latest Spyder Roadsters. Stop in now and save up to $3,500 on your ultimate warm weather adventure machines. Visit Maxim Power Sports in Merrillville. Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. When a culture celebrates, it begets. An internal FBI report obtained by Paul Bedard at the Washington Examiner finds the D.C. press corps Dem politician Combine's neutral to laudatory review of Black Lives Matter rioters makes us less safe by making police less safe. The FBI reviewed 50 murders of police officers in 2016 and found in 14 of the cases the offenders simply wanted to kill police. The assailants, inspired by social and or political reasons, believed that attacking police officers was their way to get justice. The former mayor of Baltimore created a safe space for rioters in the wake of Freddie Gray's death. That has left her successor crying to the FBI for help in combating Baltimore's 20-year high murder rate. Chicago Mayor Tiny Dancer scapegoated the police locally and brought Obama Attorney General Loretta Lynch to town to tell the nation they were all racist. After more murders in Chicago last year than in New York City and LA combined, Chicago saw a 45% increase in murders in April as compared to April of last year. When you treat police like the bad guys, you embolden the bad guys. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
As a parent, you want what's best for your children. That means sending them to a school where they'll get the superior education they deserve, and that also shares your values. That can be tricky these days, as public schools have changed and private schools can be expensive. Your household budget has already been cut to the bone, and it's hard to imagine where you'll find that extra money. Well, there's help to lessen that financial burden and provide your child with the very best education at half the cost. At AM 560 The Answer, we work with private schools throughout the Chicagoland area to provide tuition for families at half the normal cost. Just log on to halfpriceschools.com and you'll find some of Chicagoland's finest private schools, from preschool all the way through high school, at half the cost. And chances are there's a school right in your neighborhood. Invest in your child's education and future at halfpriceschools.com. A limited number of half-price vouchers are available. Go to halfpriceschools.com now.
With all of his faults and the occasional misstep, the President of the United States has one more thing to hang his hat on. He's a promise keeper. He promised to fix the Obamacare problem, and after a few fits and starts, looks like he's doing it. He promised to bring jobs back to America, and no president has done better. He promised to return American leadership to foreign policy after 8 years of leading from behind. And he promised evangelicals he would take the restrictions off churches to let a pastor preach the way he wants. Hey, we're just getting started. For more, keep it here. AM 560, The Answer.
5:57. Where's the traffic this morning? Let's find out. Man with the details is in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Michael. It's heavy around O'Hare right now. Eastbound on the Adams Tollway, traffic is stop and go from the Tri-State to beyond the River Road Toll, where the delays continue on the inbound Kennedy to around Canfield. It's 24 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Once you get to O'Hare, outbound, it's 28 minutes. Delays starting outbound near Cumberland. Also, it's heavy on westbound 190 from the Kennedy Expressway into the terminal area at O'Hare. Edens is fine. Inbound Eisenhower, 35 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound still good at 29. Inbound Stevenson, very heavy early. The main delays are from First Avenue to Lakeshore Drive. It is an hour and 5 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive and 51 minutes from the Tri-State. Ryan is 22 minutes, 95th to downtown, and traffic is a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit Account. That's 5% on all purchases in-store or online. Subject to credit approval, U.S. only. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, the latest from meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Clouds increase today with a late afternoon shower or thunderstorm in spots. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. High 73. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm tonight. Low 55. Then a couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow. High 68. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
48 at O'Hare, sunshine, 51 along Chicago's lakefront. The News, a service of Napa Auto Parts with quality auto parts and more than 90 years of experience. Napa Auto Parts can help you keep just about anything on the road. So stop by your local Napa store and keep it running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. 5:59 in our Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Here are the stories we're following right now. An investigation is underway after a man was found shot to death in a mall parking garage over the weekend in Skokie. The Illinois Senate's grand bargain budget compromise coming down to 3 separate pieces of legislation and still wrangling between Democrats who have been blocking the agenda of Republican Governor Bruce Rauner. Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich again trying to get a lighter sentence. Chris Bryant and the Cubs beat the Brew Crew 13-6 at Wrigley Field. Yolmer Sanchez, a 2-run RBI single. Sox maul the Mariners in Seattle 8-1 and take 3 of the 4 games set in the Northwest. Currently, we have 48 degrees at O'Hare. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. He got red carpet treatment. Arriving in Israel, President Trump's second stop on his foreign trip.
We love Israel. We respect Israel.
The president's now made his way to Jerusalem, where Fox's Jessica Gallagher is live.
Dave, an unconventional first overseas trip for President Trump. He took the first direct flight from Saudi Arabia to Tel Aviv. President Trump has said making a deal between the Israelis and Palestinians is at the top of his agenda.
We have before us a rare opportunity to bring security and stability and peace to this region and to its people.
The president will make a historic trip to the Western Wall. He will become the first sitting president to do so. The wall sits in East Jerusalem, which was annexed by Israel, a move not internationally recognized. Dave.
Jessica, while in Saudi Arabia, the president focused on wiping out terrorism.
Our goal is a coalition of nations who share the aim of stamping out extremism.
While he's overseas, there's continued focus on the Russia investigation and the firing of the FBI director in Washington, where Fox's Rachel Sutherland is live.
Dave, House Oversight Committee Republican Chair Jason Chaffetz says he'd like to believe President Trump didn't call ousted FBI Director James Comey a nut job in front of Russian officials in the Oval Office, telling ABC's This Week.
I don't know if that was said or not said.
Democrat Elijah Cummings said he wants Chaffetz to issue subpoenas to get transcripts of the meeting.
Documents will help us to ferret out exactly what's the truth and what's a lie.
Chaffetz said he plans to speak with Comey today. Dave.
Rachel, an era has ended. That's from the last show last night in suburban New York for Ringling Brothers and Barnum & Bailey Circus. After 146 years, the circus had declining ticket sales amid protests over alleged animal abuse, which led to elephants being retired last year. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Here's Jerry, Utah Hall of Fame tennis player, talking about balance of nature.
When you get to be a senior, my age, almost 77, you lose a step here, you lose a little reflex, you lose a little timing. But the thing I've noticed since I've been on balance of nature, I'm just as perky as ever. I don't get tired, and it's a wonderful feeling. I can play 4 and 5 hours of tennis a day, and up to that time, I couldn't do that. It's wonderful to know that every day you can get the fruits and vegetables that you need to be taking. To me, it's just marvelous.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get the best offer they've ever given. 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
When you're hiring for a growing business, you don't need lots of candidates. You need the right candidates. You need Indeed.com. With an algorithm that positions your job post where quality candidates are and screener questions that help you zero in on the best talent. Indeed.com, the site proven through an independent study to deliver 5 times more hires than any other. New users claim your $50 credit for a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
It's time to gear up for summer fun. The Ready to Ride sales event is here. Looking to ride the waves? Check out our selection of Sea-Doo watercraft. Want to tear up the trails? Shop our selection of Can-Am ATVs and side-by-sides. Or rev up for open road adventures with the latest Spyder Roadsters. Stop in now and save up to $3,500 on your ultimate warm weather adventure machines. Visit Nielsen Enterprises in Lake Villa. Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
Growing up, your parents took care of your every need. Now you may be providing care for them. Are you worried about mom and dad living alone? Are they getting more forgetful or need help with daily activities? Why not consider a lifestyle that provides support services so they can enjoy as much independence as possible and maintain quality of life? Arborea of Long Grove is an all-new assisted living and memory care community, offering respectful assistance with activities of daily living and specialized memory care. The community features classically designed residential spaces, gracious hospitality services, amenities, and courteous, highly skilled staff to meet every need. Arborea of Long Grove is situated on 10 wooded and lushly landscaped acres off Route 53 in Long Grove. It's a vibrant yet peaceful environment filled with good neighbors, great social activities, and the finest in care. Schedule a tour today. Call 847-383-6737 or visit arboreaoflonggrove.com. That's arboreaoflonggrove.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Health Quest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Trump in Saudi Arabia over the weekend had this to say to the assembled Arab leaders, including the Saudi royal family, about terrorism.
Still much work to be done. That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism and the Islamists and Islamic terror of all kinds.
And if you don't?
If you choose the path of terror, your life will be empty, your life will be brief, and your soul will be fully condemned. And political leaders must speak out to affirm the same idea. Heroes don't kill innocents, they save them.
That was
almost biblical.
That was not unclear.
Yeah.
Very pointed, salient remarks from the president. Explained in greater detail by H.R. McMaster, Trump's national security advisor, when he was on with Clinton Foundation donor zero-turned-objective journalist George Stephanopoulos over the weekend. And he said this about the Saudis, understanding the Saudis' role, at least willful blindness with respect to the 9/11 killers, 9/11 terrorists. But in terms of, is there a shift in the Saudis? Is there potential here to rebalance power in the Middle East so it's not so decidedly with the Iranians?
But I think the willingness to talk about it is somewhat different than it has been in the past. And as you know, the record is poor, going back to the 60s and 70s and beyond, and even today. And so what we need to convene leaders across all religions, and this is a big theme of this trip, is to promote tolerance and cooperation across all religions to identify these terrorists for who they are, the enemies of all civilized people, irreligious criminals who use a perverted interpretation of religion to advance their criminal and political agendas. And that's the tone and tenor of the conversations that occurred today, which I think is encouraging. Now, there have to be concrete steps taken. Funding has to be cut off to these madrasas and mosques that are fomenting hatred and intolerance. Funding has to be cut off to terrorist organizations through effective threat finance measures, and that's a big part of the initiative as well.
He was basically telling the Muslim world, turn in your own if there is bad behavior, nefarious behavior, to do something. But he sounded presidential. He looked presidential. I felt that he had our best interest at heart, as an American president, and I appreciated that. But it was so strange because on the campaign trail, he proposed the Muslim ban, so it was weird to see him snuggling up to the Muslim world, so to speak, after he had made that ban?
I wouldn't call it snuggling up, and I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I think you can reestablish American ties with the Saudis as a counterweight to the Iranians, still take a hard line on terrorism, still protect and enhance our relationship with our one true ally in the Middle East. That's, of course, Israel, where he is today. And also protect our national sovereignty with some kind of system we can have confidence in that distinguishes people attempting to come to this country from those who are peaceful pluralists as compared to those who seek to do other people harm. I think it's a balancing act, to be sure, but I think all of those are complementary postures, not postures that are in conflict with one another. But let's get an expert in on the topic. He is our friend, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. He is the founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, and he's also the author of the book, A Battle for the Soul of Islam. Dr. Jasser, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be with you. Thanks for having me back.
So your reactions to how the president addressed the Arab leaders in Saudi Arabia and his disposition towards the complicated world of Islamic theocracies generally 100 days in?
I think in the context of after 8 years of the bizarre Iranophilia of Obama administration, the abandonment of the longtime allies that we had, especially in the Sunni world, was very refreshing. I think, for the first time in a long time, we had a president give a speech to the Arab dictators, if you will, or rulers, and not begin and end with apologetics about America being responsible for the problems in the Middle East and bizarre, self-flagellation, but instead tell them what their duties were and that we were in this together. You saw a rebuilding of the coalition of leaders that will need to join us in the battle against ISIS. And I think in the short term, it was a rebooting, a reset of this old relationship. I think that was the positive aspects of it. There were some misses. I think, yes, he did mention Islamic terrorism, Islamist, if you will. But I think there was a significant amount of, even beyond willful blindness, to say that the Saudis are going to have this center for counterterrorism based in Riyadh and acknowledge the fact that their society of theocracy, of Sharia-based systems have no connection and can somehow, that these terrorists come from outer space and then all of a sudden become radicals and they're going to end it, sort of belies the fact that the root cause is this theocratic state where they put people in jail for blasphemy, apostasy, and they have a system of belief that is the beginnings of the process of radicalization. But, I think that may come with time. We can't fix everything right away. There has to be a first step, and this was an excellent first step, I think, from the Trump administration.
Yeah, and I know, the purpose of the trip wasn't to tell them how to live, but you really can't ignore the human rights issues. I mean, women still can't drive. Women can't go into, one reporter from ABC News, Cecilia Vega, she was in front of a McDonald's and she said, I can't walk through this door. I have to go through the family door. And even Toby Keith had a concert that night, but it was for men only.
Yeah, I mean, that, and I actually did not, that you can tell that's sort of the Trumpian isolationism, if you will, that he ran on in his campaign. I missed seeing the words freedom, democracy, liberty. I think that it's not about us lecturing them. It's about us. He did not speak to the people of Saudi Arabia in his speech. And I think it's about us defending the peoples of the world to have the ability to live freely and not be subjects or slaves of their governments. And I think the president missed an opportunity to speak to those people, missed an opportunity to sort of let the world know that it's not 2009, it's not the 20th century, it is the 21st century, post-Arab awakening. These countries are roiling from revolutions, from the threat of revolutions, and I think it's America's role as the leaders of the free world to speak to those people who want to be free. And I have to say, as much as it's great to reboot the relationship where, part of the reason ISIS was created and the Syrian revolution was radicalized was because the Saudis and Qataris and Turks radicalized the Sunnis in Syria and fed the wrong groups. But so I think with us now engaged more directly, they will have a much harder time doing that because there will be direct observation and chaperoning more than sort of the abandonment that Obama did. But having said that, I think that speech could have been given by any Republican president in the last century, in the 20th century, and it sort of missed what's been happening in the Middle East since 2011. And I hope in the future we start hearing from the Trump administration the differences since 2011, where you have revolutions and others, that the people he was speaking to, their days are numbered. The Muslims of the Middle East and the Islamic religion of the world, I think, is going through a metamorphosis. And the people he was speaking to, when he gave that soundbite, drive them out, I have to tell you, my family and I were chuckling. Most of the people in that room probably should have left.
Well, right, but I mean, you've got to deal with the reality on the ground that exists, not what you wish it was. And there were moments in that speech where he essentially made a message, delivered a message to the old guard, many of who were in the room, as you say, about the future of their country and other Islamic republics, the percentage of young people that are victimized by terrorism, Muslims that are murdered by ISIS and the radical Islamic terrors, and the lost opportunity and the yearning that young people have for opportunity. And I don't know if you use the word freedom, but that's essentially what he was seeming to indicate. And so I thought that, it's a delicate deal, right? He has to deliver a message, but he also has this alliance of convenience that has to be forged to deal with the Houthis in Yemen and the Iranians, as you suggested, after 8 years of Iranophilia. And so, I hear what you're saying. I think it's a legitimate point to raise, but I think it's also a very difficult line for the president to walk.
It is. I think, though, after handing them hundreds of billions of dollars of an arms deal, I think they've been waiting now for a partnership that he rekindled. I think he earned a little bit of ability to lecture them, or rather than lecture, but to, in a tough love manner, tell them what needs to be done. And I will tell you, as a Muslim and as an American, I don't see any other way for the defeat of radical Islam with those dictators in place. The reality is that if you want Islam to come to terms with modernity, societies need to exist where their citizens can question the leadership, can be critical of interpretations of the judges in those countries. Women can form organizations and be independent and own property. And the 2030 plan that even Trump endorsed of the Saudis is another delay tactic for 15 years. They've been having 15, 20 years plans for the last 80 years, and it's an old dictator method to kick the can down the road. And so I think ultimately we're going to, yes, in the short term, this was the best thing to do to reboot and help end ISIS. But if you don't look at the longer term, ISIS will go away in the next year, and we're going to have another radical group that'll rear its head in 3 or 4 years, because the root cause, which is corrupt governance, dictatorship, will continue to stir the cauldron in their societies that prevents the innovation, the independence that's necessary to defeat theocratic Islam.
Yeah, there's no disagreement with that. And I think they learned those 15, 20-year plans from Congress. I think that's where they got the idea. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, he is the president and founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, and served our country honorably as a Navy lieutenant commander, and he's the author of the book, A Battle for the Soul of Islam. Dr. Jasser, great as always to speak with you. Thanks for joining us.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Coming up next, is former FBI Director James Comey a nut job? And did President Trump ask Comey to end the FBI probe into General Flynn? But first, here's your forecast. Plenty of sunshine to greet you this Monday morning. But later in the afternoon, we're going to have some clouds, breezy, warmer, a possible thunderstorm in spots, a high of 74 degrees. Tonight, showers, and tomorrow, a couple of showers and thunderstorms, a high of 67. Let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center and check in with the boss. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Well, good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. There's plenty of traffic to greet you on I-55 this morning. It's really heavy, starting with the northbound delays around Weber Road. And once you get to 355, it is an hour and 8 minutes from there to Lakeshore Drive, 53 minutes from the Tri-State. Still okay outbound. The Edens is 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 20, Kennedy, 25 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 38, all the delays are past Montrose. It's especially heavy at O'Hare, and that includes westbound 190. The Eisenhower is 45 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 30. The Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State. It's jammed from the Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue curve. The eastbound Adams Tollway has delays from the Tri-State to the Kennedy. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
If you're an unincorporated business owner, it's too late for you. That is, if you've already been sued and lost your home, your car, and your family's life savings. But if you haven't been sued yet, there is still time to incorporate and protect your personal assets. And if you do it right now, you can incorporate in just 10 minutes, because Incorporate.com is now giving away a free incorporation guide to all business owners. For your free 10-minute incorporation guide, call now. 1-800-400-4817. Incorporation is the shield that protects your personal assets. Without it, you could lose everything. That's why at Incorporate.com, they just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. They don't provide legal or financial advice. If someone sues tomorrow, will you lose everything? Don't wait until it's too late. Hurry and call now for your free 10-minute incorporation guide while they're still giving them away for free. Call 1-800-400-4817. That's 1-800-400-4817. 1-800-400-4817.
Need a new CPAP? Then we need you. We're CPAP.com, and we recently overstocked the world's best CPAP machines. Top-of-the-line devices from brands like ResMed and Philips Respironics. Call now and get one of these overstocked CPAPs for a fraction of the price. We'll even give you free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-500-5671. The best part? No insurance needed. We're giving out these CPAPs at prices so low, they'll cost less than your copay and deductible through insurance. CPAP.com has shipped over 1 million orders and has the world's largest selection of CPAPs and accessories. With no retail overhead or costly middlemen, we're the best way to get comfortable, effective sleep apnea equipment at incredibly low prices. Again, CPAP.com has overstocked premium CPAPs. Call now to get a ResMed or Philips Respironics machine for a fraction of the price with free next-day air shipping. Call 1-800-500-5671. Hurry. When these overstocked CPAPs are gone, they're really gone. That's 1-800-500-5671.
Listen to what Dave Ryan says about Andro 400.
Andro 400, I really love it. It's amazing to me that I feel so good. I've lost 50 pounds. I was a size 38 waist. I've gone down to a 32 waist. My mood has changed. I don't get stressed out. It gave me so much more energy. Energy to walk. Energy to play sports. Everything is starting to work again. And feels like I'm 25. My wife is happy. I'm so happy. I'm just a completely different man. I'm taking this stuff to the grave with me.
Men, have you lost energy and gained belly fat? Are you feeling stressed out? Fight back with Andro 400, the safe, natural, and inexpensive way to increase your testosterone. For over a decade, Andro 400 has helped men lose belly fat, gain energy, and feel 20 years younger. Go to andro400.com. andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. 888-400-0435.
AM 560, The Answer. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Man.
Is this your friend who died?
Spoon Man Chris Cornell passed away. I mean, Soundgarden, one of the classics, fell on black days. We'll take your Soundgarden or audio slave requests all morning to honor the great talent.
I had no idea what affected you so internally.
One of my favorite rockers, Chris Cornell.
I'm sorry.
Unbelievably talented. Very sad. Also very sad in a different way is the conflating of politics and the law. And that's the story so far of the Comey matter, the appointment of the special counsel. This is not anyone occupying moral high ground. This is not a question of law at this point. This is all just politics. As Jim Garrity in National Review asked over the weekend, when do we get to see the evidence? As Alan Dershowitz asked with Tucker Carlson, I'm not clear on what crime is being investigated. Could somebody label the crime, point me to a statute, the alleged crime,
Point me to a statute under which the special counsel or the FBI is presently operating, at least with respect to President Trump. And the reason that no evidence has been presented and that no statute can be cited is because it's politics.
So this is all leaking, and that's allegedly because if he asked him to halt the investigation into General Flynn, wouldn't that be obstruction of justice?
How is it obstruction of justice?
To ask the FBI director to stop an investigation into the NSA director that allegedly took place? I mean, there is no evidence. You're right. This is all hearsay, and hearsay is not admissible in court, last I checked.
Well, here's what Trump said on the topic last Thursday. Okay. This is before he left for his Middle East trip on the issue of Comey and their discussions.
Did you at any time urge former FBI Director James Comey in any way, shape, or form to close or to back down the investigation into Michael Flynn? And also, as you look back...
No. Next question.
Next question. As you look back over the past 6 months or year, have you had any recollection where you've wondered if anything you have done has been something that might be worthy of criminal charges in these investigations or impeachment, as some on the left are implying?
I think it's totally ridiculous. Everybody thinks so. And again, we have to get back to working our country properly so that we can take care of the problems that we have. We have plenty of problems.
So let me cede my time to Alan Dershowitz.
Okay.
All right. Famed Harvard constitutional law professor.
No conservative.
As he always admits, including when he's on this show, Hillary Clinton supporter, voted for Hillary Clinton, doesn't like Trump, doesn't support Trump.
Well, first, I'm here not as a supporter of Donald Trump. I voted for Hillary Clinton very proudly. I'm here as a supporter of civil liberties and construing statutes narrowly as they were written. I just don't see a crime here. I see perhaps some political wrongdoing. I see leaking information on both sides. But even if, for example, the campaign coordinated, which there's no evidence of, but coordinated its activities with Russia, and even if Russia and the campaign said, gee, wouldn't it be better if Trump were elected, that's political wrongdoing, but it's just not a crime. Nobody can point me to a statute that would be violated, and a prosecutor is only allowed to look for evidence of a federal crime.
And so should a special counsel have been appointed, or did Republicans make a political mistake? That's my question, and the answer is yes. Here's Dershowitz on the law.
And why is there then a special counsel impaneled here?
There shouldn't be. Look at the letter. The letter says you should look into the Russian thing and anything that grows out of it. Nobody points to any kind of crime. And there can't be obstruction of justice for the president to fire Comey. That's his constitutional and statutory right to do that. Even if the president did say to Comey, let it go when it comes to Flynn, under the unitary theory of the executive, the president has the right to direct the Justice Department and the right to direct the FBI what to do. Thomas Jefferson told his attorney general to prosecute Aaron Burr. He told him how to do it. He called witnesses, and he, the president, gave them immunity. He called the Chief Justice, who was his cousin, John Marshall, and threatened to have him impeached if he didn't convict Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr got acquitted in the end, but not through any efforts, not through any failure of efforts by Thomas Jefferson. So historically, the president is the head of the executive branch, and he can't be convicted of obstruction of justice for simply performing his constitutional duty. Look, if he tore up a subpoena or erased tapes or put out a perjured testimony, that's very different. But just by exercising his constitutional rights, there's no obstruction of justice here, and I don't see any crime here at all.
And then if it allegedly did happen during this February 14th meeting between Comey and President Trump, if he asked him to end the FBI probe into General Flynn, why wouldn't Comey at that time have come forward if a crime was committed? If he's such a up guy and he, lives by the law and has such standards.
Well, that's a good question. It's one that hopefully Jason Chaffetz will ask him when he visits with Comey today. It's one hopefully that senators will ask him, and I suspect they will when he appears before a Senate committee, as he has promised to do.
But he only agreed to appear before that Senate committee after it was released that he allegedly was called a nut job by President Trump.
Yeah,
and they attacked his character. And then his dad came out over the weekend talking about Trump and all this.
Remember, President Clinton was impeached for lying under oath. Perjury.
Yeah, he perjured.
That's a crime.
Yep.
We don't have Trump, even the Democrats and the never-Trumpers.
They're not even alleging a crime, is Dershowitz's point. They're not pointing to a statute. This is all politics. And Comey, along with so many of the players in this soap opera, what are they really doing? I think Dershowitz nails it.
Then on what grounds would the acting attorney general have put Mueller in that job?
Oh, I think he did it to protect his own reputation. I think we're seeing a lot of people doing a lot of things to protect their reputation. Starts with Sally Yates. She refuses to defend the travel order to protect her reputation.
Right.
It goes to Mueller, Comey, who wants to have his cake and eat it. He hugs the president, and then he turns against him. We then see that Rothstein, he wants to preserve his reputation. He does what the president tells him to do, write a memo. Now he's turning against him. We're seeing a lot of that going on here today. Reputation protecting, playing it both ways, wanting the president to like you, but then when things turn sour, turning against them.
That's exactly what's happening. This is all politics and reputation management and posturing, sidling up to the president when it's beneficial and distancing yourself when the press corps, incorporates you as one of their targets in addition to Trump. That's precisely what's happening, and that's all that's happening up until this point. And by the way, Comey now, CNN reporting, Comey now believes Trump was trying to influence him.
Oh, now? Because
now believes. That's the CNN reporting. Again, more anonymous sources.
I know. There's so many. Who are these leakers?
He's recasting what he understood from those meetings. I mean, this is all posturing. Comey, on May 3rd, when he testified before the Senate, Senator Hirano from Hawaii, a Democrat, if the Attorney General or senior officials at the Department of Justice oppose a specific investigation, can they halt the FBI investigation? In theory, yes, said Comey. Has it happened? The senator asks. Comey, not in my experience. So like McCabe, the acting FBI director, testified before the Senate, there has been no interference in the FBI investigation by the Trump administration. That's what McCabe said. That's what Comey said 3 weeks ago. Now he's recasting it. Why? Because he's a political animal, and all these people are political animals, if even ascribing the political adjective is appropriate.
Well, coming up next on Chicago's Morning Answer, we'll continue the conversation with former U.S. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Sunshine, 50 degrees in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Nissan of St. Charles is the home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. President Trump is in Israel, leg 2 of his overseas trip, a 36-hour visit focusing on trying to revive the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. Today, Donald Trump sits down for talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Mr. President, you just flew from Riyadh to Tel Aviv. I hope that one day an Israeli Prime Minister will be able to fly from Tel Aviv to Riyadh.
Tomorrow, he'll visit the West Bank and meet with Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. Florida Senator Marco Rubio says any presidential interfering with the work of the FBI would be problematic if it exists and a potential obstruction of justice.
We don't know if that's what's happened here, and we can't make that decision, and I'm certainly going to not make pronouncements at that level of magnitude solely on the basis of what an anonymous source told the press.
Republican senator telling CNN State of the Union the Senate Intelligence Committee is going to have access to James Comey and notes that will give senators insight into what really happened, and that's only fair, Rubio says, to the president. Millions would be moved off food stamp programs under President Trump's budget, set to be unveiled tomorrow. Another candidate to fill the FBI director post, removing his name from consideration. That would be ex-FBI official Richard McFeely. Jury selection begins later today in Pennsylvania in the Bill Cosby trial. Authorities are investigating a deadly crash in Aurora this morning. It happened just as dawn broke on Orchard Road between Galena Boulevard and Indian Trail Road. At least one person was killed. Lanes are shut down as crews clear the scene. Chicago police are searching for the people who stole an expensive antique clock from a show at the Merchandise Mart. Clock worth over $430,000 was swiped yesterday during an antique show on the building's 7th floor. Investigators believe 2 distracted employees, while another person grabbed the clock. Cubs beat the Brewers 13-6. White Sox took 3 of 4 in Seattle with an 8-1 win. The news a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit Account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 6:33 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's GNC's lowest prices of the season sale now through June 7th on diet and test support, fish oil, and more. Change begins at GNC. Select products only. Season is March 30th to May 31st.
What are you doing the 4th of July? Get to the Bolingbrook Golf Club Tuesday, July 4th starting at 2 p.m. There's fun for the entire family and free admission. Check out live music and great food. Plenty of kids' activities and inflatables. Choose from over a dozen local restaurants and food trucks. Then the highlight of the 4th of July, a 30-minute fireworks show presented by the Village of Bolingbrook. Don't miss the 4th of July blowout at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. More info at bolingbrookgolfclub.com. Sponsored by COTG, Pepsi, Southern Glacier, and Miller Lite.
Are you facing foreclosure, been foreclosed upon, in a bad modification, or just stuck in a bad mortgage? Well, we may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. We defend foreclosure actions. We bring claims against the banks and the servicers for wrongful foreclosure and other violations of mortgage servicing regulations. And we help people negotiate modifications of their existing mortgages, often including principal reductions. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest analysis, counsel, and advice regarding your options.
Hi, this is Rayanne from Lou Bridges & Associates. I am one of the loan modification processors here, and if you are in need of any additional information in regard to a loan modification, please contact the office.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. According to creditcard.com, cardholders in Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Michigan are carrying over $33,000 of debt on their credit cards. The Federal Reserve recently increased the interest rates 1/4 point, which, according to credit enhancement expert Gary Novell, will increase the average credit card holder's interest payments $825 a year. The good news is home values have rebounded, so now is an excellent time to use your home's equity to eliminate your stress, pay off credit card debt, and lower your monthly payments. To see if you can use your home's equity to pay off your debt, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee 4358 and MLS 19186.
6:36. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Eastbound Eden Spur traffic is slow from past Waukegan Road to the Edens. Then it's 25 minutes Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, 29 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, it's 47. Just 13 to get to Montrose, though. Westbound 190 is bottled up from the Kennedy to Manheim. Inbound Eisenhower, 53 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 37. The Stevenson, an hour and 18 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, an hour 3 from the Tri-State. Outbound 38 minutes to 355. Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays from 95th to Archer, Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue Curve. Eastbound 8094 slow from past Central to Ripley. Traffic is a service of Napa Auto Parts. With quality auto parts and more than 90 years of experience, Napa Auto Parts can help you keep just about anything on the road. So stop by your local Napa store and keep it running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte. AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sunshine this morning. Breezy and warmer. We'll have a thunderstorm cropping up later this afternoon into the early evening with a high of 74 and a low of 55 overnight. Currently 50 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs powered by Tandem HR. Heard Sunday evenings at 6.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and we're talking about the appointment of Robert Mueller to be special counsel to investigate the Russian collusion allegations directed towards the President of the United States as well as the administration, the Comey termination and what was said or not said between the two gentlemen in their various conversations and meetings. And Mark Stein, we just discussed what famed Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, a Hillary Clinton supporter, had to say on the topic. There's no discernible crime. There's no statute pointed to. There should have been no special counsel appointed. Those were Dershowitz's conclusions, that this is a lot of political reputation management by people who are charged with upholding the rule of law in a free society.
So it is a witch hunt?
commentary.
Yeah, so it is a witch hunt like President Trump says
It's
it is?
political. I mean, you call it a witch hunt or not, but it's political. It's not with respect to the rule of law, which is the point. And also, as Mark Stein points out in his inimitable fashion, there seems to be a little role confusion with the branches of government, specifically the judiciary and the legislature. He made this point on Stuart Varney's show.
I am, actually, and I think if it's a choice between Trump and the congressional GOP, I think the congressional GOP is sending a very dangerous message here. They're basically telling their voters elections don't matter, and that no matter what you vote for, nothing changes. And I mean, just to be serious about this, Stuart, I think we have a dysfunctional system. We have a judicial branch that legislates and a legislative branch that spends more time on pseudo-court hearings. That's to say, we have district court judges who presume to make immigration policy, and Congress, meanwhile, can't legislate anything, but if the under-assistant deputy under-assistant director of the FBI hears that Trump once changed planes in Vladivostok, then Congress turns on a dime and can schedule 3 days of hearings with the guy. They're not doing what they're meant to be doing.
For more, Mark Stein. Mark Stein is Mark Stein. For more on this topic and the legal matters at bar, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend and former United States Attorney General under President George W. Bush, and now the Dean of the Belmont University School of Law in Nashville, Tennessee. He is Alberto Gonzalez. General Gonzalez, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
So give us your take on the appointment of the special counsel, first and foremost. Is it appropriate in this case, or was it unnecessary backside covering by Rod Rosenstein and the Trump administration?
I think that, look, I know the FBI, and I have a great deal of confidence in the agents there, and I think that they are certainly quite capable of completing this investigation, and I think they were probably more motivated than ever after Jim Comey was fired to get to the bottom of what happened here, if anything, quite frankly. But I think given the fact that the manner in which Jim Comey was fired and all the swirl about him feeling uncomfortable and all this kind of stuff, and certain comments made by President Trump, however you want to interpret them, it probably was inevitable that you'd have a special counsel appointed, quite frankly, and it's certainly consistent with the statute, which says that if there is a feeling that there's either a conflict of interest or extraordinary circumstances, and if it would be in the best interest of justice, then a special counsel would be appropriate. So it's hard to argue that the statute wasn't met. Obviously, these are always judgment calls by either the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General, and frankly, I think given all the politics, how this has become so political, it probably was inevitable, quite frankly.
But what do you think is the real reason why President Trump fired James Comey? Because he's changed his story about 3 times now.
Well, I think that's one of the things that's really hurt the president. First of all, I was unhappy with the way it was done in terms of Jim Comey finding out about it on television, I think was unprofessional and unfair to anybody, quite frankly, to learn of the filing in that fashion. And I think the back and forth in terms of the reasons why, I think further confused the narrative. And as I said publicly immediately after the firing, if Jim Comey was fired in order to stop an investigation into wrongdoing that Donald Trump knew about, that would be definitely wrong. If Donald Trump fired Jim Comey because of the actions and statements he's made over the past 8 or 9 months, I can't argue with that. I think Rod Rosenstein laid it all out. I think there are obviously a number of former senior DOJ officials referenced in the Rosenstein memo, which clearly indicates almost universal condemnation about Jim Comey's performance, but by both Democrats and Republicans, and by former senior DOJ officials appointed by Republican and Democratic presidents. So it's, I think I think there is a sufficient basis, and I stand behind Rod Rosenstein's memo.
Yeah, Andy McCarthy makes the point that it's much harder to establish an obstruction of justice offense against a president who orders an investigation to be dropped, and nobody's suggesting that President Trump did exactly, and tried to influence as far as we've gotten, than against one who ostensibly permits an investigation to proceed but insidiously manipulates it the way, for example, that Nixon attempted to do. Does McCarthy have a point there in terms of just trying to make sense of this and trying to get to some point where either evidence is presented in some form or fashion, or there is established the alleged offense that's being investigated?
Yeah, that's the thing about it. I think that no matter how this thing has proceeded and various other ways it could have proceeded, we're going to find out what happened. I think either the FBI, the special counsel, Congress, the American media, there are so many groups, organizations looking at what might possibly have happened here, that we're going to find out what happened. I think one of the lessons that I came away from my service is that with respect to decisions that are controversial or arguably, outside the legal bounds, you just can't hide that. It's going to come out. People are going to talk about it. And speaking of leaking, I am really dismayed about the level of leaking coming out of the White House. If you're a career person, that is one thing. But if you owe your job to this president, and if you disagree with what's going on, you should resign. Then you can say anything you want to. But to leak information that's damaging the president, in my judgment, is disloyal. And obviously the number one priority is the Constitution and protecting our country. But again, if you feel that strongly about it, you shouldn't be leaking information from my perspective. You should resign, and then you can say whatever you want to. So that to me has been very disappointing, and I know it's been distressing to the senior officials in the White House and, of course, to President Trump.
Well, and Jason Chaffetz said whoever leaked the contents of the conversation between the president and the Russians should be prosecuted. Just as Republicans have said, although this story's been completely buried, the one thing that we know is true is that the leaking of Michael Flynn's name was illegal, and the person responsible for that should be prosecuted. And so perhaps the good news, maybe inadvertent good news, is with a special counsel, Robert Mueller, he basically is boundary free. And so he can go a lot of different directions. And then there's still these open questions about actual illegalities, the leaking of information that is classified, which is a violation of the law. And that is something that Mueller could potentially investigate and find the culprits.
That's true. The mandate that's been given to him by Rod Rosenstein is very broad. Now, that's not to say that an investigation under Jim Comey wouldn't have ended in the same result, but clearly Bob Mueller in the mandate given to him by Rod Rosenstein would have the authority, the power to investigate those kinds of matters.
So going back to this conversation between President Trump and Comey that took place on February 14th, where he asked him allegedly, to end the FBI probe into General Flynn. If that really did happen, why wouldn't Comey at the time come forward and claim there's, intimidation of the witness or obstruction of justice?
Well, this is another thing that really, really troubles me. Some people have said, well, he felt he could handle it. Yeah, we have protocols in place. The FBI director is not autonomous. He reports up to the Deputy Attorney General and the Attorney General. Those two individuals, one of their responsibilities is to protect agencies like the FBI. And so as soon as Jim Comey had that conversation, any inkling at all of any kind of pressure or persuasion by the White House, he should have immediately talked to the Deputy Attorney General or the Attorney General, and it would have been their job to then push back at the White House. And maybe he had that conversation, and Sessions and Bente or Rob Rosenstein didn't do anything about it. Well, that would be a failure on their part. But if Jim did not convey to the Deputy Attorney General or the Attorney General or the Acting Attorney General at the time of this pressure, then he failed in his job. He failed to protect the FBI. And again, I've heard stories that, he felt that was his obligation, was to protect the FBI. Well, he got himself fired. And now, he's certainly not protecting the FBI today. I think that's another example of sometimes Jim's, I don't want to say arrogance, but hubris, thinking that I can handle this. It doesn't matter whether you think you can handle it. You have an obligation to go to your superiors and convey to them you're feeling this pressure. I can't imagine any attorney general who would be satisfied with a situation where his FBI director or her FBI director is feeling White House pressure and is not being told about it.
Well, and in addition to that, we have this month, both Comey and his number two, now the acting director, testifying before Congress that no one has tried to interfere or impede the FBI's investigation into Russian collusion. So now he's going to potentially appear before the Senate and recast that as somebody did after he testified on May 3rd that nobody did?
Well, I can't predict how Jim's going to testify. I'm assuming he's going to talk about conversations he had with the president. I don't know. I'm assuming he'll be asked questions, or at least he should be asked questions about, well, why didn't you do something about it? And I guess the only thing he can say is, I felt I could handle it, and but again, even if you feel like you can handle it, that's not the right response. The appropriate response would have been to notify your superiors and let them handle it. That's their job. You've got a job to do, which is to move forward with the investigation.
I'm going to get one more constitutional matter before you, General Gonzalez, and that is some of these incredible op-eds. And this one comes from one of my favorite editorialists normally, Ross Douthat, over at New York Times. But the idea of a 25th Amendment action against President Trump, calling on Vice President Pence and cabinet officials to invoke Section 4 of the 25th Amendment to essentially submit a written declaration to the President pro temp of the Senate and the Speaker of the House that the President is incapacitated to do his job, declare him unable to discharge the powers and duties, and to go back and forth to try and remove Trump from office at this point. It's one of the most, just my estimation, I just got a JD, I'm not a former Attorney General, but this is absurdly unconstitutional, and it's striking to me that a serious, thoughtful person like Douthat would make such an argument, and others, of course, following suit. What's your reaction to that contention?
Well, I hadn't heard about that, but I would declare it as sort of it's a mutiny. It's ridiculous. The framers, that provision is put in place for those situations where I think the president is mentally incapacitated and cannot perform the job. And so the notion, if that were allowed to happen, we really would become no different than many other countries around the world where you have coups taking place because people want to assume power. So that to me is surprising, and I think that should be rejected out of hand.
All right. He is former United States Attorney General, now the Dean of the Belmont University School of Law, Alberto Gonzalez. Thanks, as always, for joining us. Appreciate your insights.
Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. There will be several important economic reports this week, and the computers hit by WannaCry may be fixed by a French tool. Those stories and more next. Are you being intimidated by the IRS? Rapid Resolution Tax Group is a team of tax attorneys, enrolled agents, and tax professionals who've helped thousands of people with problems just like yours, and they promise not to let the IRS intimidate you. If you are an individual or business who owes at least $10,000 to the IRS, you can turn to them for help. Has your bank account been levied? Do you have years of unfiled tax returns? Let Rapid Resolution Tax Group intervene for you. They're accredited with and A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and they guarantee same-day contact with the IRS. If you qualify, Rapid Resolution Tax Group can work towards settling your tax debt for less, removing penalties and fees, and stopping levies and garnishments. Call the professionals at Rapid Resolution Tax Group at 800-601-2929. That's 800-601-2929. This week we'll have the latest data on new and existing home sales, and we'll also have Friday's reports on the growth of the economy, the GDP report, and durable goods orders report. A French researcher releasing a software tool he claims can restore some of the computers infected by the WannaCry ransomware. The researcher says the tool isn't perfect. It only works if the infected computers haven't been rebooted after being hit by the malware program. A federal appellate court striking down a regulation requiring owners of recreational drones and other model aircraft to register the devices with the FAA. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit ruled that federal law prohibits the FAA from making rules covering model aircraft, striking a blow for freedom. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Do you think of insurance like a utility bill? They tell us what to pay, and we pay it. Insurance companies make changes, and your insurance needs to change too. That's how you end up with too much or not enough. DLF Insurance is an independent insurance agency representing over 20 highly rated companies like Travelers, Liberty Mutual, Progressive, MetLife, and Safeco. Their clients receive regular policy reviews, making sure you have what you need at the best price. DLF has over 35 years of experience. They're a one-stop personal, business, life, health, home, and auto insurance agency. They do all the heavy lifting, navigating the complex insurance world on your behalf, so you can focus on your family, business, and personal life. Call now. Get a quote to find out if you have the right insurance at the best price. 847-824-3020. 847-824-3020. Or just remember DLFinsurance.com. They work for you.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm almost 87 years old, and I have had irritable bowel syndrome. I really feel better at my age. I'm telling you, I was weak and weary and just afraid to go any place because of this irritable bowel thing, and now I'm doing better. My doctor's already taken me off I think that's the name of it, for your cholesterol. I did a test, and he said, you don't have extra cholesterol, and he took it away from me. Isn't that wonderful? I'm amazed. I really, truly am. I thought these old people on here giving these commercials were full of stuff, and they surely didn't mean it. And they do mean it.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Most folks are scared to even begin the process of buying a new car. No doubt shopping for a new vehicle can be intimidating. You want a dealer that really helps you get the best car for you and your family and skips the high-pressure nonsense. That's Joe Cotton Ford. They're here to help you find the new Ford car or truck that fits your lifestyle and your budget with no hassles, no drama, no high-pressure sales tactics. Really. You just can't find that kind of great customer service these days, so relax. Car buying doesn't have to stress you out. At Joe Cotton Ford, you have their word. Your satisfaction is their top priority. In fact, that's why Joe Cotton Ford is one of the highest repeat customer dealerships in Chicagoland. They take pride in working with generations of Ford buyers and their families, whether they're buying their first vehicle or their 14th. Get to Joe Cotton Ford and drive home a new Ford car or truck today. Gary and North Avenue in Carroll Stream or at joecottonford.com. That's joecottonford.com.
Amazing to realize, but it's been almost 2 years. I've been talking with you about Relief Factor, and I can tell you I've been continually inundated with testimonials. If you're struggling with ongoing back or neck pain, shoulder, hip, or knee pain, or general muscle pain, pains of any kind, do what tens of thousands of others have done so successfully. Go to ReliefFactor.com and order their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. 1-800-500-8384. That's 1-800-500-8384.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. When a culture celebrates, it begets. An internal FBI report obtained by Paul Bedard at the Washington Examiner finds the D.C. press corps Dem politician Combine's neutral to laudatory review of Black Lives Matter rioters makes us less safe by making police less safe. The FBI reviewed 50 murders of police officers in 2016 and found in 14 of the cases the offenders simply wanted to kill police. The assailants, inspired by social and/or political reasons, believed that attacking police officers was their way to get justice. The former mayor of Baltimore created a safe space for rioters in the wake of Freddie Gray's death. That has left her successor crying to the FBI for help in combating Baltimore's 20-year high murder rate. Chicago Mayor Tiny Dancer scapegoated the police locally and brought Obama Attorney General Loretta Lynch to town to tell the nation they were all racist. After more murders in Chicago last year than in New York City and LA combined, Chicago saw a 45% increase in murders in April as compared to April of last year. When you treat police like the bad guys, you embolden the bad guys.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Notre Dame students walk out on Vice President Pence. And the reason why, I can't wait to tell you.
And a study finds that journalists drink too much, are bad at managing their emotions, and operate at a lower intellectual level than the average American, but enough about Rick Pearson at 7:17.
But first, let's go into the newsroom to a very intelligent man, the one and only Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, here are the stories we're following at this hour. A man found shot to death in a Skokie parking garage. 3 shot outside a Chicago bar. Blagojevich once again pushing his appeal. Cubs beat the Brew Crew while the White Sox mowed down the M's. WIND Chicago News Times, 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. It's Stop 2 on Foreign Trip 1.
Thank you for this powerful expression of your friendship to Israel.
Prime Minister Netanyahu welcoming President Trump arriving from Saudi Arabia.
We were treated incredibly well.
And he told Israel's president issues and concerns about Iran have helped Israel in the Middle East.
I've seen such a different feeling toward Israel from countries that, as you know, were not feeling so well about Israel not so long ago.
Fox's Jessica Gallagher live in Jerusalem.
Dave, President Trump also expressing optimism about the possibility of restarting peace talks between the Israelis and Palestinians. Mideast peace has been a mainstay of his presidency.
You have a great opportunity right now. There's a great feeling for peace throughout the Middle East. I think people have just had enough. They've had enough of the bloodshed and the killing, and I think you're going to see things starting to happen.
The president has consistently maintained he'd love to help broker the best deal possible between the Israelis and Palestinians. He'll meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu later today and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas tomorrow. Dave.
Jessica, while the president's away, the issues of Russian campaign meddling and the FBI director firing keep simmering. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, lawmakers want to know more about President Trump's meeting with Russian officials at the White House a day after he fired James Comey. Democrat Elijah Cummings told ABC's This Week he wants to see transcripts.
I'm hoping that the chairman will issue subpoenas so that we can get every document.
Republican Jason Chaffetz leads the House Oversight Committee.
We're certainly pursuing them, and if they're there, I hope we find them and get them sooner rather than later.
As for whether President Trump called Comey a nut job at the meeting.
Well, I hope that's not true.
Dave.
Rachel Bill Cosby's arrived at a court in Pittsburgh, where they'll pick a jury that'll be taken to suburban Philadelphia for Cosby's trial in the only criminal case stemming from the comedian's sexual assault scandal. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This morning, sunny skies, 50 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Authorities are investigating a deadly crash. It happened early this morning in Aurora. The accident happened on Orchard Road between Galena and Indian Trail. Police tell us at least one person has been killed. Lanes are shut down as crews clear the scene. Charges pending after a Chicago police officer was hit by a stolen SUV on the southwest side. Authorities say Multiple police were walking up to a stolen vehicle on West Ogden Avenue when the SUV then drove off and struck one of the officers. The vehicle then hit a fence, and 2 suspects ran out. They were both later arrested. An investigation is underway after a man was found shot to death at a mall parking garage over the weekend in Skokie. Eric Syback, according to police, was bleeding from a head wound when an employee discovered him Saturday at the Old Orchard shopping center. No arrests have been made. That death has been ruled a homicide. Bond set at $1 million for a man accused of carjacking a person last month at gunpoint in Chicago's South Loop. Philip Smith appeared in court last Friday on charges of aggravated vehicular hijacking with a firearm. Police say the suspect held up the victim April 11. Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is again trying to get a lighter sentence. Lawyers for the imprisoned former governor spent last week asking a federal court for permission for a new hearing. Blagojevich still maintains he's innocent of corruption charges and is serving a 14-year sentence. Chris Bryant homered twice. Cubs beat the Brew Crew at Wrigley 13-6. White Sox took 3 of 4 from Seattle after Sunday's 8-1 win, backing Derek Holland to win number 4 on the year. The news, a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 7:04, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's time to gear up for summer fun. The Ready to Ride sales event is here. Looking to ride the waves? Check out our selection of Sea-Doo watercraft. Want to tear up the trails? Shop our selection of Can-Am ATVs and side-by-sides. Or rev up for open road adventures with the latest Spyder Roadsters. Stop in now and save up to $3,500 on your ultimate warm weather adventure machines. Visit Dockside Marine in Wilmington. Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
Allergies. Pollen in the air. Dogs in the house. Mold in the basement. Whatever triggers your allergy symptoms, it can really hold you back. Break through with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief. Allegra works fast, won't make you drowsy, provides 24-hour multi-symptom relief, and it's effective every day. Break through allergies with Allegra. Starts working in 1 hour. Use only as directed. Guaranteed or your money back. Visit Allegra.com.
The key to success? Keep it simple, especially when it comes to hiring. And nobody makes it easier than Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions. Manage your candidates from one dashboard. According to an independent study, 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. New users claim your $50 credit to post a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
The Ready to Ride sales event is back. Gear up for summertime fun with Sea-Doo watercraft and Can-Am ATVs that are engineered to perform and excite. Stop in now. Choose your ultimate summertime adventure machine and save up to $900 on select 2016 models. Get ready to ride because the fun starts now. Visit RJ's Recreational Vehicles in West Chicago. Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
.706. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. The latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The southbound Tri-State Tollway is jammed solid from 176 to Deerfield Road, where a crash has 3 right lanes blocked. Northbound 294 delays from Southwest Highway to LaGrange Road, from the Stevenson to 47th, and from the Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue curve. Reagan Tollway stop and go Myers to the Tri-State, Veterans Memorials, though 63rd to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. Edens runs 27 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25. Kennedy, now 55 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 25 from Montrose, 20 in the Express. And outbound, 33 minutes to Montrose, an hour and 5 minutes to O'Hare. The Eisenhower's an hour and 10 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 53 minutes. Stevenson, an hour 19, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 50 minutes. The Ryan is 26 minutes, 95 to downtown. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center and our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, breezy and warmer with sun followed by increasing clouds, a shower or a thunderstorm in spots late in the afternoon. High today, 73. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm mainly early, low 55. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Sunshine and 50 right now. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And so it's commencement time.
Oh, yeah.
Commencement addresses for so many mal-educated young people are going to venture out of their safe spaces and into the real world. Some of them will.
Is this when you want me to bring back the commencement speech I delivered at John Hersey High School back in 2001?
Inspirational.
Or maybe it was 2002. Yeah, it was inspirational. Mm-hmm.
There's no question about it. That's what we look forward to this time of year. Those kind of powerful appeals to man's better angels as we set these young people free into the world to lead, provide that next generation of innovation
and the one takeaway was pass on grass. Remember?
Yeah,
that was
it was very Nancy Reagan-esque.
It was downright powerful. I'm still getting thank you letters for being the commencement speaker at our high school in 2002.
Probably fewer thank you letters for Vice President Pence after his commencement speech at Notre Dame. By the way,
yes,
Vice President Pence gave the commencement because
Notre
Dame University, which is one of those Catholic schools for individuals who despise Catholicism, like DePaul here, Marquette, others, they refused to invite President Trump to speak because of pushback by faculty at the Prospect. This is the same Catholic university that invited President Obama to address the community there at Notre Dame, a president who could not bring himself to vote against killing babies who are born alive after a botched abortion. A president who came around to supporting the redefinition of marriage. Welcomed at a allegedly Catholic university, the most preeminent one in the country, and Donald Trump not so.
Yeah, but I love the fact that they were going to invite President Trump and that got all their panties in a bunch. So their alternative, we'll have Vice President Mike Pence. He's former governor of Indiana. And so he got up there and to the lectern and started speaking. And guess what happened? They had the big walkout. Students and parents, they got up from their seats and walked out the door.
Thank you all.
Boos and yays. Did you see this video? I mean, they look like fools.
Board of Trustees.
And Mike Pence went on, without a hitch, didn't mention the people who got up and walked out, just delivered his speech and talked about what an honor it is to be the vice president.
The greatest honor of my life is to serve as vice president to the 45th president of the United States of America, President Donald Trump. Just as Notre Dame has stood strong to protect its religious liberty, I'm proud that this president just took steps to ensure that this university and the Little Sisters of the Poor could not be forced to violate their consciences to fully participate in American civic life.
Now, to be fair,
yes,
we're talking about a few dozen graduates and their family members.
Well, 1,700 students signed the petition, protesting his appearance at their graduation, but they're claiming, between 100 to 200 parents and students walked out. And guess what they were protesting?
Yeah, like I said, a few dozen.
Guess what they were protesting? LGBT rights, Syrian refugees, and building of the Mexican-American border wall.
You think? Here's my question. You think Penn should have addressed those who walked out?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. I don't know. He did address the wussification of America and what's going on college campuses.
While this institution has maintained an atmosphere of civility and open debate, far too many campuses across America have become characterized by speech codes, safe zones, tone policing, administration-sanctioned political correctness, all of which amounts to nothing less than suppression of the freedom of speech.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. Of course, he's right. I would have addressed the people that walked out.
Would you have?
What you see there is every American's right to not listen. But maybe you should consider this. At a time when those people who are political opponents of mine and the president's and this administration's, and were lectured about civility on campus, were lectured about getting out of our bubbles, and even the left is going through this internal postmortem about the thickness of their bubbles. Academia, at a time when we talk about not being siloed, read opinions that are different than yours, consume content across the spectrum. There's one example for young people and their families here. And then there's the example that all of you who are sitting here and I'm thankful to indulge me and listen to what I have to say on a range of topics, whether you agree with me or not, whether you voted for me and my ticket or not. You're providing another example. And I want you to reflect on this because we don't get side-by-side arguments. And by the way, they're still making an argument in silence as they walk out. We don't get side-by-side arguments like this very often. So decide which kind of freedom-loving, civic-minded citizen you want to be. Do you want to be with the people that are around you, those of you seated in the audience, students and family? Or do you want to be those people that are walking out, so intolerant of an opinion different than theirs that they can't...
They can't bear to see, like, their eyes are going to burn if they watch Mike Pence.
Theirs is a statement, and again, theirs is a statement of protest, and they're absolutely entitled to make it, and I would defend to the death their right to do so, because that's the foundation, one of the foundations of our free society and what we're trying to promote in terms of our values abroad. But I just consider which you think is the most productive example, which is the example you would want your children to replicate. I think it would have been. I think it was a teachable moment.
Yeah, but the kids who walked out and their parents, I thought they looked like fools. That they're still, having their little temper tantrum. I mean, what he said nothing offensive. I listened to his whole 35-minute speech.
Offensive is in the ear of the beholder, isn't it?
But one of my friends who graduated from Notre Dame just texted, I hope they have the same no reentry policy they instituted football games for those who walked out on Pence's speech.
That's pretty good.
Thanks, Katie Clark.
John in Mokina, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
Yeah, I was at the commencement yesterday, and just didn't know if there's anything else I could shed light on for you. But I thought Mike Pence, Vice President Pence, handled it quite well. Generally, the speakers, all of the speakers that spoke, talked about the importance of dialoguing with the other side and communicating with the other side and listening to each other and using the opportunity to come together. Especially the gentleman who won the Lettieri medal had a very good speech.
Oh, Joe Biden? No, I'm kidding.
Well, how did people act around you when the students stood up and walked out?
Vice President Pence was very well received by the parents in the audience. We stood and applauded Vice President Pence when he was addressed. As the students got up and walked out, the parents around us actually started booing the students. And my preference is not to boo people. I I think just as the students walking out on a speaker is very rude, I have the same feeling about booing
Yeah, I agree.
behavior that you don't approve of.
Let me ask you this. There was a report about the valedictorian speech before Pence's, and the valedictorian took off on Trump. Is that accurate?
I don't think that's accurate. He, in fact, on one of the top of the hour news reports, I heard them use a phrase. I think he used the phrase "scapegoating of Muslims," and he did use that phrase. But the news report said he attacked the administration for scapegoating Muslims, and he did not attack the administration. You can.
Yeah, kind of implicitly, perhaps.
Infer whatever you would like.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was direct.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, John. Appreciate it. We got another John who was at the graduation yesterday. This John from my hometown of Wheaton.
Oh,
John.
Pleasantville, Dan.
John from Wheaton. Why didn't you send your kid to Wheaton College?
Sorry, Dan. Fellow St. Mike's and Bennett alum.
There you go. All right. Very good.
It only gets better. Okay.
Yeah. I made a mistake going to Northwestern, too. So we were good through high school, and then we both made mistakes. So,
There you go.
Cancel each other out.
It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth addressing them because there was only out of 3,000 graduates, there were only 50 of them who walked out.
Yeah.
It was such a non-event. The most rude thing was the one, I guess, avowed queer student in the student population stood up and turned their back on him and stood there the entire time. That was the only rude thing.
Oh, I see.
Beyond that, it was a non-event.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, John. Appreciate that. Mark in Joliet.
Hey, good morning, Amy and Dan, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Actually, locally there in the Michiana area, that's where I'm actually from. I stay in Joliet during the week. I'm home in Bristol on the weekend. This has been a news story for the past couple of weeks before this even happened. As soon as it was announced that Mike Pence was going to be there, right away the stories were they're going to walk out, they're going to protest. And actually, it's been being played up and stoked up for a couple of weeks before it even happened. So there it was really a non-event. It was expected.
Yeah.
It was.
All right. Thanks for the call, Mark. Appreciate that perspective and context. George in Libertyville.
Yeah, hey, guys. I tell you what, I wonder what percentage of those kids are already, after their $300,000 or $400,000 education, are already nestled into their parents' basement. And I'll tell you what, those little punks, that is so... Can you imagine being a grandparent and the horror coming across, your eyes as you're seeing your grandkid, doing that? I wish we could follow those kids around in whatever job interview they ever have, and let their future employers know what kind of commitment and discipline these kids have just demonstrated.
Well, you should have
Thanks
seen
for the
them.
call, George. That's interesting.
Yeah, but when they walked out, too, then they all hugged each other and high-five like, yeah, we did it. Now where are we going? What are we doing now? Well, it's over. You graduated. Leave.
I like George's idea. So any of you employers out there, if you get a resume or you have an interview with a 2017 Notre Dame grad, this question is not illegal in an employment interview yet. Hey, that commencement speech, did you stay or stand up and walk out? Just curious. Wouldn't that be interesting?
That is cool.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Coming up next, coming up later in the show, the Dominican Republicans. Oh, yes, some stories from our trip. But first, here's your forecast. Plenty of sunshine right now, not a cloud in the sky, but that's going to change as the day progresses. It's going to be breezy, getting cloudy, and a chance of a thunderstorm in spots. And this afternoon, a high of 74 degrees. Tonight, a couple of showers, possible thunderstorm. And tomorrow, again, a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, a high of 67. Let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Anyone walking out of their cars there, walk out on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
You've got time to do so, Amy, on the inbound Kennedy, Eisenhower, and Stevenson. Welcome back to Chicago traffic. It's now an hour on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown, slow all the way in. It's 25 minutes from Montrose, 27 in the Express, so they'll cost you time. And outbound, it's an hour and 2 minutes downtown to O'Hare. The Edens, 25 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 28. The Eisenhowers, an hour and 10 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, 50 minutes from Manheim. And outbound, it's an hour and 4 minutes to Thorndale. The Stevenson is an hour and 17 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 48 minutes. The Ryan, 27 minutes, 95th to the Loop, Tri-State southbound. A solid mess from 137 to Deerfield Road, where a crash has moved to the right shoulder. Told there were 6 cars involved there. The northbound Veterans Memorial is now heavy, 75th most of the way to St. Charles and Army Trail to 290, and also the Reagan Tollway. Pretty long delay from 53 to the Tri-State. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
You hear me talk about MyPillow all the time, but that's because a good night's sleep is so important to our health. For May, you can still receive the 50% discount on the MyPillow 4-pack, 2 premium MyPillows, and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. What I love about MyPillow is you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need, regardless if you sleep on your back or side. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer. No more waking up to a stiff neck or headache. What's great is our friend Mike Lindell manufactures them right here in America using American labor. You can wash and dry your MyPillow, and they are hypoallergenic. And of course, you'll get the 10-year warranty with a 60-day money-back guarantee. For May, get 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code AMY or visit mypillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code AMY.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
I'm James Furr. I'm a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran, and I have hepatitis C. My main focus was to take care of hepatitis C. Taking Balance of Nature did other things for me. I was feeling more energetic. My mental acuity had increased. When I play golf, I would notice that bending over to line up a putt, I would have a bit of a struggle to stand back up. But even now, 10 years later, I stand up better than I did then. I will live happily with hepatitis C instead of feeling like I want to die because someone's trying to cure me of it. Thanks to Balance of Nature, I live a normal, happy, healthy, pain-free life.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference. At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. And be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire program. Where else can you get a great deal on a new Nissan, a Lifetime Advantage warranty, and a Lifetime Tire program? The little things make all the difference. While all Nissans may be created equal, the difference is clearly Nissan of St. Charles. Located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. That's nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
So, for the past 8 years, you've wanted to sell your home but couldn't because you were underwater. Well, thankfully, those days are over. Almost every town in the Chicagoland area is experiencing a strong seller market. I'm John Wright with the Wright Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, and we have ready, willing, and able buyers and not enough homes to offer them. So if you've been thinking about a move across town or a move out of Illinois to a more tax-friendly environment, give me a call. We promise to give you an honest, professional, and experienced opinion on the value of your home. If you like what you hear and feel we're a good fit, let's do business. And if not, we'll still part as friends. The spring market is off to a busy start, so give me a call at 630-202-7241. I look forward to getting to know you.
Call John Wright and the Wright Real Estate Group of Keller Williams at 630-202-7241 or visit WrightRealEstateGroup.com. They'll get you moving at the speed of right.
It's time to gear up for summer fun. The Ready to Ride sales event is here. Looking to ride the waves? Check out our selection of Sea-Doo watercraft. Want to tear up the trails? Shop our selection of Can-Am ATVs and side-by-sides. Or rev up for open road adventures with the latest Spyder Roadsters. Stop in now and save up to $3,500 on your ultimate warm weather adventure machines. Visit Dockside Marine in Wilmington. Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
Allergies, pollen in the air, dogs in the house, mold in the basement. Whatever triggers your allergy symptoms, it can really hold you back. Break through with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief. Allegra works fast, won't make you drowsy, provides 24-hour multi-symptom relief, and it's effective every day. Break through allergies with Allegra. Starts working in 1 hour. Use only as directed. Guaranteed or your money back. Visit Allegra.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
Yes, remembering
Too
Chris
soon.
Cornell all morning.
Too soon for you.
His untimely passing. And coming up at 7:37, fake news and the crisis in American journalism.
And later, Roger Ailes' son swears vengeance in the eulogy. Woo. But first, let's go to the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 50 degrees, mostly sunny skies. At 7:29 on AM 560, The Answer in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. President Donald Trump in Jerusalem. A very busy schedule for his visit there, making a brief statement earlier alongside Israeli President Reuven Rivlin.
But you have a great opportunity right now. There's a great feeling for peace throughout the Middle East. I think people have just had enough. They've had enough of the bloodshed and the killing. And I think you're going to see things starting to happen.
Meantime, the president called on Muslim nations to drive out extremism in their countries.
Muslim majority countries must take the lead in combating radicalization.
Addressing a conference yesterday in Saudi Arabia aimed at fighting terror, the president said untapped potential in the Middle East is held back by bloodshed and terror. Ford Motor Company reportedly replacing its CEO. The New York Times says the automaker will announce later today that Mark Fields is out. Detroit News and other outlets in suburban Detroit say Jim Hackett will be in. Most recently, Hackett was an interim athletic director at the University of Michigan who brought in the current football coach. Authorities are investigating a deadly crash in Aurora. The accident happening early this morning on Orchard Road between Galena Boulevard and Indian Trail. Charges are pending after a Chicago police officer was hit by a stolen SUV on the southwest side. It happened late last night in the 3600 block of West Ogden Avenue. An investigation is underway after a man was found shot to death in a mall parking garage over the weekend. Police say Eric Syback was bleeding from a head wound when an employee discovered him Saturday at the Old Orchard Shopping Center. Farmers in the state weighing whether to replant this morning. The latest band of heavy rain has left many fields across the state underwater. Many of the state's corn and bean fields will need to be replanted. However, there's plenty of time for that. Most farmers say they can put a crop in the ground in June. Still have something to show for it in Illinois come the fall. Chris Bryant homered twice. Brewers crushed by the Cubs 13-6 at Wrigley Field. White Sox mauled the Mariners 8-1 in Seattle. They take the final three of a four-game set, backing Derek Holland to the win. He's now 4-3. 5 of the state's 6 clubs in the NCAA women's softball tournament bounced over the weekend. 5 Division I teams are all sent home. Number 6, Division III Illinois Wesleyan. The Titans are headed to the NCAA Women's Softball World Series tournament in Oklahoma City. They'll take on St. Catharines on Thursday. The news, a service of Napa Auto Parts. With quality auto parts and more than 90 years of experience, Napa Auto Parts can help you keep just about anything on the road. Stop by your local Napa store. Keep it running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. 7:32, check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
I voted for Trump. I am a crazy Tea Party conservative.
The Joe Walsh Show.
Man, when I think Trump screws up, I'm going to slap him upside the head. Why? Because I want Trump to succeed. I want the wall. I want my taxes cut.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you want a Trump cheerleader, I'm not it.
With Metra, there's no need to listen to traffic reports. Just sit back, relax, and arrive refreshed and on time. For fares and schedules, visit metrorail.com. The secret to how the rich keep getting richer is by passing down their wealth, generation to generation. If you do the same thing, you'll be leaving a legacy and be doing one of the most important things possible for the people you love. The ugly truth is, you don't have an estate plan. Everything you own, including your house, cars, investments, everything could be tied up in courts for a year or longer. It could cost your estate tens of thousands of dollars in probate and legal fees, even double government taxation. You can avoid this painful, costly mistake by contacting Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group. Tom hosts the Alpha Wealth Hour, heard Saturday mornings at 9 on AM 560, and has been a featured expert on Fox Business, Fortune, and Money Magazine. Right now, Alpha Wealth Group is offering you a free estate planning kit if you call 630-873-6326. That's 630-873-6326. 630-873-6326. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
Guys, are you tired of being tired? Frustrated because it seems impossible to lose belly fat? If you're looking for a solution, then listen to Mark.
I had fantastic results with the Andro 400 Max. Probably lost 35 pounds, and more impressive than that was the inches I lost off of my belly and my waist. And the increased energy is fantastic. I'll be totally honest, I tried a different product, and I wasn't happy with the different product. You guys are considerably cheaper than the other brand, and I can really feel the difference.
Andro 400 Max, the extra strength, all-natural testosterone booster. The safe, easy, and affordable way to gain energy and lose stubborn belly fat. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. Feel and look like a new man. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. 888-400-0435.
7:35 is our time. Let's get an update on the roads now. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, the latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Aurora, Orchard remains closed south of the Reagan Tollway between Galena and Indian Trail after an early morning collision involving a pedestrian. The Tri-State Tollway southbound still has pretty heavy delays from 21 to Deerfield Road with a crash now on the right shoulder. Northbound Tri-State heavy 111th to 87th with a crash in the left lane. Then Archer to 31st and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Reagan Tollway very slow, 53 to the Tri-State. Eden's 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 35. Kennedy an hour and 6 minutes, O'Hare to downtown outbound an hour and 4 minutes. The Eisenhower an hour and 12 minutes. Thorndale to the post office outbound an hour 7. Stevenson an hour and 14 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. And that's 5% on all purchases in store or online. Subject to credit approval, U.S. only. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Brilliant sunshine this morning, then clouds, breezy and warmer later in the day. An afternoon thunderstorm, early evening thunderstorm is possible, high 74. Currently 50. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour radio show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I want to talk a little bit about the press, but I want to frame it by what Victor Davis Hanson said when he appeared on Tucker Carlson's show recently. Of course, the great academic professor Victor Davis Hanson.
We just call him VDH.
VDH.
He the man.
He is one of the must-read thinkers in American politics and culture, and a noted historian as well. Here's what he had to say about the pursuit of Trump and the talk of impeachment the last week.
I mean, we've had a whole cadre of Washington and New York reporters have done nothing other than for 6 months using all of their tools at their disposal, their genius, their experience to prove that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians. They can't find anything. They haven't spent commiserate time to look at who was unmasking individuals, and that may come out from the House Intelligence Committee. But what we're seeing here, I don't want to be too dramatic, is sort of historically a slow-motion coup where you have a nexus of celebrities, academics, the Democratic and progressive parties, and then you have the media, and they feel that they can delegitimize a president with 1,000 nicks, none of them insignificant in themselves, but they coalesce to build a narrative that Trump is inexperienced, that he's uncouth, that he's crude, that he's reckless. And each day, the point is to drive his popularity down half a point, 1 point, until he can't function in Congress because purple state congressional representatives don't want to take the risk to further his initiatives. Meanwhile, the ACA, the tax reform, his appointments, everybody agrees they've been excellent. So there's Trump, the message and the agenda, versus Trump, the demonized president.
Since collusion is the order of the Trump administration thus far, let's talk about collusion. But the collusion I want to talk about is...
Your collusion?
No, big government collusion. The collusion between the proponents of big government in both parties and the media. It happens at the federal level in D.C., with the D.C. press corps and the other gatekeepers and stakeholders in big government like the academic set. And it happens in Illinois with the Chicago and Springfield press corps that is colluding with the Democrat Party, Chicago Democrat Party, that is colluding with the recipients of big government largesse like university presidents in this state, school superintendents in this state, to spin a narrative about the governor and about conservative reform Republicans that isn't true. It's the same dynamic that's at play. The real combine is between big government and the press agents for big government. That's what the D.C. press corps is. That's what the Chicago and Springfield press corps is at the state level in Illinois, with some exceptions, but as a general matter. And when I say a general matter, we have a study out from Harvard University about the coverage of Trump's first 100 days. 80% negative.
Because that's what sells. People love when other people's dirty laundry is aired.
And in Obama's first 100 days, 60% positive.
Well, because he was a great one. He was the second coming.
Right,
he
right.
was the one everybody felt good about. Now, this is a guy we all love.
Right.
This is a guy we want to bring to a party.
And Trump first 100 days, I'm talking about above 90% negative.
Wow.
NBC, CNN, CBS, New York Times, Washington Post.
Yeah, but the liberal media will say he brought that upon himself.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Some of it I think he did because he does remind me of a high school drama queen with his tweets, which I think he should stop, but I've felt that way all along. It's beneath the office of the presidency. But anyway.
And 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. If you went in on this conversation and my contention about the real collusion that undermines the republic, big government and big government press, the fourth estate that prides itself on its independence and, is so quick to call any disagreement suppression, they are actually colluding with the purveyors of big government in both parties and the rent seekers that come from both parties, and they are undermining the republic by lack of independence. by lack of serving as true watchdogs.
Well, some of them I think are just lazy, honestly.
Well,
and some of them are taught that you need to have, there's two sides, sometimes three sides to every story, and that you should, if you interview a Democrat, you should follow up with an interview by a Republican. It's basic journalism 101, and they don't do it because I know, because I was there.
Yeah, actually, the point is, you don't need tit for tat. You need truth. You need to provide value.
But they're pushing their own agenda. That's why they don't get the right's opinion.
Well, and this is not fake news. This is not fake news. This is directed news. This is a perspective that is being driven. Okay? So there's half-truths, which is, in some respects, more dangerous than outright lies. Because malicious untruths can be addressed. And they were, for example, over the weekend, this story about Alex Jones. Alex Jones
what now?
Settled a lawsuit filed by Kobani Yogurt and its CEO, Hamdi Ulukaya.
I love when you pronounce it like that.
Well, that's how you pronounce it. That's why I pronounce it like that. That's his name. This was a defamation suit that Kobani filed against Alex Jones for alleging that Kobani was hiring convicted rapists and so forth. Idaho yogurt maker caught importing migrant rapists. It was untrue. It was actual fake news. It was challenged. It was called out by Kobani. Good for them. Alex Jones conceded the point. Good. I'm not a proponent of propaganda. I don't care where it comes from.
Why would he even make up a crazy story like that?
Because he's Alex Jones. He's a conspiracy monger. The problem is now
I'm glad he had to pay then.
Now we need to apply that standard across the political spectrum. Across the political spectrum. And we have more who are defamed by the big government press agents to stand up and challenge them as well. That's the only way you're going to get accountability. Selena Zito has a good piece in the Washington Examiner. The crisis in American journalism benefits no one. When fewer and fewer reporters share the same values and habits of many of their consumers, inferences in their stories about people of faith and their struggles squaring gay marriage or abortion with their belief systems were picked up by the readers. A pro tip, don't think people can't pick up an inference, even the most subtle, in the written word. It is as evident as a news anchor rolling his eyes at someone on his panel he doesn't agree with. And so the idea, essentially, she's talking about the press joining in the mockery, even the subtle mockery of people with whom they disagree in terms of political positions. And essentially how that is undermining the credibility of the big government press corps and thus the legitimacy and the important role that a free press plays in a free society. It's a real thing. By the way,
is this where we talk about you?
Well, I'll get to that in a second, but this may also explain something. A study, now I'm not saying this is peer-reviewed, but it's fun, so that's why I'm going to report it.
Okay, but don't roll your eyes while you're reporting it.
No.
I need to study your body language.
A study by Tara Swart, a neuroscientist and leadership coach, in association with the London Press Club, analyzed 40 journalists from newspapers, magazines, broadcasts, and online platforms over 7 months. The participants took part in tests related to their lifestyle, health, and behavior. The results? Journalists' brains were operating at a lower level than the average population, particularly because of dehydration and the tendency of journalists to self-medicate with alcohol, caffeine, and high-sugar foods. Amy. I'm kidding. 41% of the subjects said they drank 18 ounces or more units of alcohol a week, which is 4 units above the recommended weekly allowance. Less than 5% drank the recommended amount of water. Also,
well, of course, because they're traumatized sometimes after the horrific violence they see on the streets.
Really?
Self-medicate.
All of them are in theaters of war, are they? All these journalists?
Depends on what town you're in, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty nasty on the streets of Chicago. I saw some nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And now I have nasty friends. Oh, sorry.
All
right, what else did they do?
Journalists scored lower than the average on executive function, in addition to the traits mentioned above. Silencing the mind, which is related to the ability to have thoughts without getting distracted by them, or powerful ability to focus. So they're like Homer Simpson. Oh, look, a bird, and they run out into
ADHD,
the wilderness.
Yeah. Oh, look at the shiny object in the room.
Lamp. Compared with bankers, traders, or salespeople, journalists showed that they were more able to cope with pressure. However, the journalists were on average no more physically stressed than the average person. Okay. The headline conclusion is that journalists are undoubtedly subject to a range of pressures at work and home, but the meaning and purpose they attribute to their work contributes to helping them remain mentally resilient despite this. Nevertheless, there are areas for improvement, including drinking more water and reducing alcohol and caffeine consumption to increase executive functioning and improve recovery during sleep, and also, develop their gray matter between their ears, which is part of this too. So I say that in the lead up to my little story. This is at the Illinois level.
Yeah, you made some news on Friday while you were golfing in the beautiful Dominican Republic.
Yeah, well, I was distracted from my round at Pete Dye's magnum opus, Teeth of the Dog, and Casa de Campo there, because of the story bubbling up. We did a story in one of the papers, the outlets I started, about school funding legislation that was passed in pertinent part by the Senate as we near the end of the General Assembly's legislative session. And Andy Minar, who's a state senator from Decatur, Democrat, lost his marbles and accused me and my outlets of colluding with Governor Rauner, getting secret information about how school funding formula change would affect school districts that we used to report in our Kankakee newspaper and then throughout the region, all of our other regional outlets as well with the relevant school districts. Said, I got the information from Governor Rauner.
Secretly, yes.
He wanted the Inspector General to investigate this. First, the numbers were fake. Then they were old. The Senate Democrats kept changing their story.
Right. Well, they had a press conference on Friday.
Yeah, they had a press conference. Oh, sure.
Right.
With Toy Hutchison tearfully talking about that her constituents in Kankakee were her babies. And so she would never support legislation
that would
reduce
children.
K through 12 funding in Kankakee.
So who's right, who's wrong?
So here's the story. And this was underreported, with the exception of Tina Fondelis in the Sun-Times. She kind of got there. The real story was this. So this is the school funding formula change that Andy Minar is proposing and has been proposing for years. And you think this is just inside politics. Well, hey, suburban families, suburban cook on the collars, if you care about funding for your local school districts, you may want to perk up your ears. Wake up out there. Minar's legislation is essentially redistribution of resources away from suburban communities to Chicago and downstate communities. That's what he wants to do.
Right.
Okay. And he's been proposing this in alternate forms for years, as I said. So here's what we did. We took the last best numbers produced by the Illinois State Board of Education that we obtained last year, that we obtained from Reboot Illinois, which is an independent online outlet.
Right. You didn't get it from Governor Rauner.
No. Independent online outlet, Reboot Illinois, reported on the numbers last year. My editor, and I've got the email thread, which I produced for these reporters, that has my editor asking for the ISB numbers they obtained and getting them. That's where we got the information. Andy Minar persists with this idea. I've got email proof of where we obtained the information. He persists with the idea that there's some kind of collusion. The big government press in Chicago and Springfield doesn't call him on it at all, maybe with the exception of Natasha Korecki this morning in Politico, who printed my response on this. And it is just factually inaccurate. He makes up, he created fake news to accuse me of fake news.
Yeah.
And I can prove it, and the big government press corps in this state doesn't want to report it. And Minar persists with his call for an Inspector General investigation. Go ahead. Bring him on. Go. Hey, Minar, hey, go get Jim Comey to be special counsel on the investigation you want. How about that?
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, it'd be great. So that's one piece of
and
it.
Is Star still around?
The second piece of it, the most important piece, this isn't about me, this is about you out there listening. The most important piece on this, listen to this. You think Obamacare, pass it to see what's in it, was a seminal moment? Listen to this. They say the ISB numbers, the State Board of Education numbers on school district funding, were old because they were last year. They are. There are no new numbers.
Oh.
So the legislation that Senate Democrats passed, and it was a party line vote, Senate Democrats passed to change the way schools are funded in Illinois. They did so without new numbers, without knowing what the amended version would mean for their school districts throughout the state. So are you listening, suburban families? Because this you're changing one redistributionist formula, which is what the school funding formula in Illinois is, for another one. And the other one that Menard has been proposing just takes more from the suburbs to distribute to the city and downstate. You get it? And they did not know, because there are no ISB numbers. There is no analysis on the legislation they voted for. They voted for it blind.
So you're right and he's wrong.
So I keep saying, produce the new numbers. My numbers are old. I know those are the last best numbers. Produce the new numbers. Nobody can because they don't exist.
They're not there.
The real story is the idea that you have Senate Democrats and their, handmaidens in the House that would support legislation, vote for legislation. They have no idea how it would impact their local school districts. And they've got this smoke screen cover story about a hold harmless provision that would keep all the school districts held harmless on the redistribution. Yeah, for 2 years. It's fleeting. It's short term. There's no way to hold harmless. Redistribution means winners and losers. That's the English definition of the word. And where is the Springfield or Chicago press corps to delve into this story? Or Menard's absurd continuing with the IG, call for an IG report? As the governor pointed out, oh, by the way, it was also public information. So how can you leak public information, you nitwit? And the D.C. press corps, the Chicago press corps and the Springfield press corps, like the D.C. press corps, nowhere to be found. This is the slant. It's not reporting on stories. It's the editorial decision to not report stories that are newsworthy. The idea of senators voting to change the way schools are funded, your schools, and not knowing what the financial implications are. That's the story. Alan in Rockford, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, have you seen Andrew Klavan's most recent video with regards to government investigations?
No.
You should watch it. I'll try and get it over to you. Basically, the whole gist of the thing is that as long as government continues to investigate every investigation that's being investigated under current investigations, means that the government doesn't actually get to govern, and that's better for us because God forbid if they ever get around to governing.
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks for the call, Alan.
Guys, take care.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Harvey owns a building and wants to save money by making his heating and cooling system more energy efficient.
Yes.
But Harvey's afraid of the cost and if he can get a return on his investment.
I am indeed.
Plus, he's nervous about disrupting the businesses that rent space in his building. Harvey doesn't know what to do with an HVAC system that's seen better days. The Air Comfort problem solvers to the rescue. Working as a team, the Air Comfort professionals find simple solutions that make a huge impact on building efficiency and operating costs with minimal or no disruptions to building operations. HVAC upgrades and retrofits from Air Comfort can save thousands of dollars per year. They save energy, reduce maintenance, and eliminate downtime. And buildings with better energy ratings command higher rents and selling prices and make tenants happy. Get real solutions from the Air Comfort team of problem solvers. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com and start saving money today. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Bob Aument, a founding partner of the law firm of Dassman & Aument and longtime personal customer of Signature Bank. Our firm recently left one of the larger banks to bank with Signature Bank, and it's been a refreshing change. With Signature Bank, we've been able to tailor banking solutions that fit the specific needs of our firm. Beyond that, Signature Bank is responsive, efficient, and timely in meeting those needs. If I have a request, I pick up the phone and talk to Mick O'Rourke, not someone at a phone bank thousands of miles away. Daspin and Ament needed more than what the larger banks offer, and we found that with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you're an unincorporated business owner, it's too late for you. That is, if you've already been sued and lost your home, your car, and your family's life savings. But if you haven't been sued yet, there is still time to incorporate and protect your personal assets. And if you do it right now, you can incorporate in just 10 minutes, because Incorporate.com is now giving away a free incorporation guide to all business owners. For your free 10-minute incorporation guide, call now. 1-800-400-4817. Incorporation is the shield that protects your personal assets. Without it, you could lose everything. That's why at Incorporate.com, they just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. They don't provide legal or financial advice. If someone sues tomorrow, will you lose everything? Don't wait until it's too late. Hurry and call now for your free 10-minute incorporation guide while they're still giving them away for free. Call 1-800-400-4817. That's 1-800-400-4817. 1-800-400-4817.
Here's Jerry, Utah Hall of Fame tennis player, talking about balance of nature.
When you get to be a senior, my age, almost 77, you lose a step here, you lose a little reflex, you lose a little timing. But the thing I've noticed since I've been on Balance of Nature, I'm just as perky as ever. I don't get tired, and it's a wonderful feeling. I can play 4 and 5 hours of tennis a day, and up to that time, I couldn't do that. It's wonderful to know that every day you can get the fruits and vegetables that you need to be taking. To me, it's just marvelous.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get the best offer they've ever given. 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Oh, Dan's getting a dog today, and I'm having heart palpitations.
Don't worry about it. Me and Hayek are going to get along famously.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I'm going to train him by reading him passages from Constitution of Liberty.
Oh, dear Lord.
Coming up at 8:08, hey, a new marketing program for Chicago from Tiny Dancer to misdirect you away from all the Ponzi schemes that are failing.
Yeah, we're one Chicago. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 3-hour shot outside a Chicago bar. Blagojevich once again pushing his appeal. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. He arrived to fanfare. And a red carpet. President Trump visiting Israel.
I'm awed by the beauty and majesty of this sacred and very holy land.
The president flew there directly from Saudi Arabia, considered a first. Fox's Jessica Gallagher live in Jerusalem.
Dave, President Trump is now in the Old City of Jerusalem. He will be the first U.S. incumbent president to visit the Western Wall. Previous presidents have avoided the holy site because it's in East Jerusalem, which was annexed by Israel in 1967, a move not internationally recognized. President Trump during a meeting with Israel's president.
Young Israeli and Palestinian children deserve to grow up in safety and to follow their dreams free from the violence that has destroyed so many lives.
The president will meet with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas tomorrow. Dave.
Jessica, Bill Cosby's back in court, but this time in Pittsburgh, where they'll pick the jury that'll be brought to suburban Philadelphia for his trial next month.
Cosby is accused of drugging and sexually assaulting former Temple University employee Andrea Constant at his home in Pennsylvania in January 2004. More than 50 women have made similar claims of abuse at the hands of Cosby.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. 2 Ohio kids shot in the head last week have died. Police say their mother, who may have mental health issues, shot the 6 and 8-year-olds in their Dayton home, and she's due in court today. A big tent has folded.
You've just witnessed the final presentation of this American treasure.
Last night's show was the last show of the greatest show on earth.
I drove all night from the state of Michigan.
He was in the crowd in suburban New York for the end of 146 years. The Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus performers were in tears.
We have influenced a tremendous amount in society. We've added to the vernacular. Hold your horses. Throw your hat in the ring. The show must go on. Jumbo. That's all us.
Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
52 degrees, mostly sunny skies. In the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities investigating a deadly crash this morning in Aurora. It happened early this morning on Orchard Road between Galena Boulevard and Indian Trail. Police say one was killed. Lanes are shut down as crews clear that scene. Charges pending after a Chicago police officer was struck by a stolen SUV. It happened on the southwest side as multiple police officers were walking up to that stolen SUV on West Ogden Avenue when the SUV then drove off, striking one of the officers. That police officer has been treated and released from the hospital. An investigation is underway after a man was found shot to death in a mall parking garage over the weekend in Skokie. Police say Eric Sybak was bleeding from a head wound when the employees there discovered him Saturday at the Old Orchard Shopping Center. His death has been ruled a homicide. Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is once again trying to get a lighter sentence. Lawyers for the imprisoned former governor last week asked a federal court for a new hearing. Blagojevich still maintains he's innocent of corruption charges. Cubs crush the Brewers at Wrigley Field 13-6. White Sox beat the Mariners 8-1, backing Derek Holland to win number 4. The news, a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat from the Fox Business Network, a service of Turnkey.pro. Here is Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Ford has scheduled a news conference this morning and is expected to reveal plans to replace Chief Executive Mark Fields with another Ford manager, Jim Hackett. Ford's share price is hovering around the $11 mark, which is below the price when Fields took over at Ford in 2014. Two chemical companies, Huntsman and Clariant, are merging. It's an all-stock deal. Huntsman is based in Woodlands, Texas. Clariant is based in Switzerland. Nearly a dozen retail companies could be facing bankruptcy, restructuring, or going out of business in the next year. Fitch Ratings says among the companies dealing with debt burden are Sears Holdings, Gymboree, 9 West, 99 Cents Only Stores, and Charlotte Russe. The Dow closed up 141 on Friday, NASDAQ up 28, the S&P gained 16. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Do you think of insurance like a utility bill? They tell us what to pay, and we pay it. Insurance companies make changes, and your insurance needs to change too. That's how you end up with too much or not enough. DLF Insurance is an independent insurance agency representing over 20 highly rated companies like Travelers, Liberty Mutual, Progressive, MetLife, and Safeco. Their clients receive regular policy reviews, making sure you have what you need at the best price. DLF has over 35 years of experience. They're a one-stop personal, business, life, health, home, and auto insurance agency. They do all the heavy lifting, navigating the complex insurance world on your behalf, so you can focus on your family, business, and personal life. Call now. Get a quote to find out if you have the right insurance at the best price. 847-824-3020. 847-824-3020. Or just remember DLFinsurance.com. They work for you.
When smart businesses need to grow their team, they do it on the site proven to deliver, Indeed.com. According to an independent study, Indeed delivers 5 times more hires than any other job site, more hires than the rest combined. And right now we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job, boosting your listing in relevant search results. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
It's time to gear up for summer fun. The Ready to Ride sales event is here. Looking to ride the waves? Check out our selection of Sea-Doo watercraft. Want to tear up the trails? Shop our selection of Can-Am ATVs and side-by-sides. Or rev up for open road adventures with the latest Spyder Roadsters. Stop in now and save up to $3,500 on your ultimate warm weather adventure machines. Visit Dockside Marine in Wilmington. Offer ends soon. Restrictions may apply. See dealer for details.
.807. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens is heavy outbound from Montrose to Church Street. 37 minutes. Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound just 21. Kennedy, an hour and 3 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 32 minutes from Montrose. 31 on the Express. Outbound, 44 minutes to Montrose. An hour and 19 minutes to O'Hare. Inbound Ike, an hour and a half. Thorndale to the post office. An hour and 8 minutes from Manheim. Outbound, an hour and 2 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 14 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, 47 minutes. Ryan is 28 minutes. 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive. Lays off from Bryn Mawr to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Tri-State southbounds, the 132 to Everett. There was an earlier crash at Deerfield Road. Northbound delays. Cicero to 87th from the Stevenson to 31st and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Reagan toll very heavy from the Aurora toll to Eola and 53 all the way to the Tri-State. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Clouds increase today with a late afternoon shower or thunderstorm in spots. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. High 73. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm tonight. Low 55. Then a couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow. High 68. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
52 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by My Parts Garage. Check out all the DIY auto repair videos at mypartsgarage.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. What up, Dan and Amy? You know what Chicago needs?
What do we need, Dan?
Don't worry about the financial problems or the crime problems or the failing public school system. You know, we just need a fresh coat of paint on the marketing of Chicago. We need some new sloganeering. We need a unified message from a courageous political leader. And is that what we've gotten from Tiny Dancer? Amy?
Well, yeah. Yesterday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the city kicked off its new campaign, Dan. We are now, quote unquote, One Chicago. So there's a PSA and a website which explains One Chicago. It's established, ready, in response to the emerging needs of Chicago's immigrant and refugee communities most affected by recent federal policies. So the slogan of the campaign is 3 million residents, 3 million stories, One Chicago. And with that, we want you to meet Oscar G. Oscar G is Hispanic. Oscar G has been wrongly detained a few times by ICE agents.
We all looked down, and then my brother, he stuck his head up. So they saw us, right? So they took us to the detention center. I remember everything. I guess I was old enough to know what was going on, but not really. Like, it was at that age. What I was thinking is, I guess, I was just going through the motions, right? Like, now that I think about it, I was like, damn, like, that was a big risk that people take just to come to the United States for better opportunity. And I guess that was my dad's decision, right? Because he saw that here we would get a better education, more opportunity, and we will live better.
Okay, so that's Oscar G.
So Democrats love mascots.
Yeah.
We had Pat Quinn. He was the governor of Illinois, you remember, till 2014.
I saw his portrait recently.
He had Squeezy the pension python.
Yeah, we met Squeezy in the Dominican. He's been retired now to Punta Cana.
Right. He was at a sanctuary.
Sunscape. Or Sunscape was
Sunscape, yeah, like an animal sanctuary.
Yeah, where you can also
Nature
go swimming
preserve.
in cenotes. And,
yeah, so Squeezy is down there. He's living off his six-figure pension that Pat Quinn negotiated for him, Squeezy, the actual pension python. And, just to pass the time and keep himself sharp, he entertains the tourists by letting tourists put him around their necks like we did. So we saw Squeezy the pension python. He was a great, successful mascot for Pat Quinn. That solved our pension problem, you remember. because we used to have the largest unfunded public pension liability in the country, and now we do. It's just bigger. And now we've got Oscar G to be a mascot for Tiny Dancer's reelection campaign.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. So they cited in this website that, U.S. immigration arrests are up nearly 40% from January to April under President Donald Trump compared to the same time last year. So they focused too on Syrian refugees, in particular siblings. They're in their early teens.
I come here to be safe, to save my family. And then in Syria is not that safe at all. They kill people, they kill children. They don't care if they're children 5 years or 2 years. They don't care. They kill them, and then they don't have food.
So here's the thing. This is particularly important to note for those who find this campaign and Tiny Dancer's pandering persuasive. You'll remember that Tiny Dancer was the chief of staff to one President Obama in the first couple of years of President Obama's first term, where the Democrats controlled the Congress as well as the executive branch, and they had opportunity to do something more permanent with respect to immigration policy. If you want to do something for childhood arrivals of persons, people that come here as children, taken by their parents through no decision-making of their own, who are here illegally and so forth, the sympathetic cases, and I agree they are. He had a chance, but it wasn't politically advantageous for him to do so. So he spiked it. He spiked it when he was the chief of staff of the President of the United States. Now, as he's trying to resuscitate his political career as he goes into his reelection in 2019, a decade later, now he's pandering. So you want to continue to play the pigeon to Tiny Dancer and his political ambitions of the moment, or do you want to snap out of it and recognize this for the pandering that it is, number one, and number two, for everybody else who doesn't have this particular issue to address and is otherwise not animated by this particular issue, immigration policy generally. Maybe you want to look at the Ponzi schemes Tiny Dancer is trying to deflect attention away from. You'll note last week, Chicago Public Schools, run by the mayor, of course, and his toady, Forrest, announced a plan to borrow nearly $400 million, payday loan, to make a pension payment. They're going to borrow $400 million at probably 9%. Yeah.
Maybe 9%.
9%, probably in that neighborhood. It's going to be usurious. It's going to be loan sharkish because CPS is junk rated. So they're going to have to pay a premium. And what is the pension fund going to return on that money? Maybe 3%? Maybe 4%? That sound like a good financial deal to you? Let me tell you what's going on in the Chicago Teachers Pension Funds. Because remember, the Chicago Teachers Union and the rank and file teachers, all nearly 30,000 strong, 3/4 of whom are females, by the way, they're lockstep with the Democrats, right, in the city and the state. Because that's who is really buttering their bread. Are they? The story that we did at Chicago City Wire, one of my outlets, yesterday, looked at this since the borrowing $400 million. Bernie Madoff got 150 years in prison for what Chicago and CPS and Tiny Dancer and his toady Forrest are doing. Last year, the Chicago Teachers Pension Fund paid out $1.5 billion last fiscal year, mostly benefits to retirees. It earned $7.8 million on investments. Did you hear that? It paid out $1.5 billion. It earned $7.8 million. Oh, by the way, the borrowing of $400 million, that's, with respect to a school district, that's already $9 billion in debt. And this is all, whose fault is this? Governor Ronner, the guy who got here 2 years ago? This has all happened in the last 2 years, has it? In fact, the Chicago Teachers Pension Fund is less than half the size actuaries say it needs to be to earn enough investment returns to pay its obligations. Between just to give you a 10-year look at this, I think 1 year is an aberration. Between 07 and 16, the Chicago Teachers Pension Fund earned $5 billion. It paid out $12 billion. You think this is sustainable? Chicago teachers and your families and all those who buy this line of bull jive that Tiny Dancer and Chicago Democrats in charge of the city and state are selling.
Well, I mean, we
you
can't
think
even,
they got their back?
We can't even print money to fill up that deficit. Holy cow.
This, like the other pension funds for city workers and laborers, and at the state level, it's just staying at the city level, firefighters and cops, these are going towards insolvency. And so I want you to remember and share, please, with your friends and colleagues and within your circles of influence, who was trying to send the signal that the bridge is out for years and years and years before the day comes, and it is coming. The math is inexorable. I know there's people out there who think math is an opinion. You're going to find out it's not. The math is inexorable. So when that day comes, when teachers and cops and firefighters and city workers and laborers get that IOU in the mail rather than a pension check, wherever they may be living at the time, remember these conversations, not just today, for years and years and years. Remember the data. Remember the stories that we did and that we talked about. The data we tried to distribute so people could get their arms around what's happening and, frankly, make alternate provisions than the expectation of your guaranteed pensions. You think these people are serving you well? They're mad-offing you. They are mad-offing you, Chicago public school teachers, and every other group that I just mentioned. And you're going to continue to support them, aren't you? By the way, Christy Culpepper, who is a bond analyst, tweets about this stuff a lot.
Mm-hmm.
She said yesterday, the difference between Detroit and Puerto Rico and Chicago after this $400 million borrowing was announced, there were real economic changes that drove Detroit and Puerto Rico into bankruptcy. Chicago, it had the benefit of a diversified economy. Chicago's problems are directly a result of corruption of the liberals in power.
So we have Ponzi schemes in place, and they didn't.
Well,
Detroit and Puerto Rico.
They ultimately did, but here's the difference: is Detroit, the economy changed, and Detroit wasn't diversified enough to handle the metamorphosis of the economy. Puerto Rico, similar structural infirmities in their economy. Here, a diversified economy. Here, Chicago, a vibrant, financially powerful city. The problems visited here are directly a result, and only a result, of corrupt leftist financial policies, fiscal policies. And by the way, she also said, if my pension fund, if any fund I was invested in bought Chicago's CPS's debt that they're putting out on the street, I'd sue them for breach of fiduciary responsibility.
Really?
That's the kind of fine point she wanted to put on it. And she's absolutely right. I'd do the same. Don in Bloomingdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, I've got a brother who works for a major bond brokerage firm downtown, and he said when the city and the state come walking in the door looking for money, it's like a shark feeding frenzy with the bonds traders.
Yeah, right.
Because they know that the 9% and possibly 10% interest rates are at stake. He goes, they're literally cutting each other's throats to get at them.
Well, right, because they're looking for yield. But here's the thing.
Correct.
Right, by financing this profligacy, when
we're paying for it.
Well, right, and when it goes upside down like it did in Detroit and Puerto Rico, and when the bondholders have to take a haircut just like the pensioners, I'm going to have little empathy for those bond traders as well. But your point is well taken, Don. That's exactly what's happening. Thanks for the call. Sean in Elmwood Park.
And how many of the people who will be selling the bonds at 9%, which if you read the contract will be far greater than 9%, how many of them are campaign contributors? And until you eliminate that, it is in the best interest of everyone for government to fail. So we better realize It is worse than Bernie Madoff. It is open and notorious, and it hopes you don't figure it out. And the problem is they're winning. We're not figuring it out because you keep doing the same thing. And if you and I were making that kind of money, we'd hope they didn't figure it out either. The system has been corrupted, and we've endorsed it.
Yeah, thanks for the call,
there's
Sean.
more
The problem
victims than Bernie Madoff.
Well,
and
13
that's
million.
the taxpayers. Yeah.
By the way, in case you think the General Assembly is exercising oversight, Illinois Policy, Austin Berg had a good piece over the weekend. House members have spent as much time playing softball and basketball as they have in session since the beginning of May. This is the last month before.
Oh, that's right. Remember the
end of session.
cheerleading group? The girls were going to decide what uniforms they were going to wear?
So all of the talk and the bluster about not having a constitutionally balanced budget, they've spent less than 6 hours in session this month. That's at the direction of Speaker Madigan. 6 hours. So you want to tell me these are serious people? They're looking for solutions, or they're just playing politics, hoping they can continue the scam and protect themselves and their sinecures, and of course, bosses protect their fiefdoms. Okay. All right. Wake up, Chicago, or don't. Whatever.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560. The Answer.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. When a culture celebrates, it begets. An internal FBI report obtained by Paul Bedard at the Washington Examiner finds the D.C. press corps Dem politician Combine's neutral to laudatory review of Black Lives Matter rioters makes us less safe by making police less safe. The FBI reviewed 50 murders of police officers in 2016 and found in 14 of the cases the offenders simply wanted to kill police. The assailants, inspired by social and or political reasons, believed that attacking police officers was their way to get justice. The former mayor of Baltimore created a safe space for rioters in the wake of Freddie Gray's death. That has left her successor crying to the FBI for help in combating Baltimore's 20-year high murder rate. Chicago Mayor Tiny Dancer scapegoated the police locally and brought Obama Attorney General Loretta Lynch to town to tell the nation they were all racist. After more murders in Chicago last year than in New York City and LA combined, Chicago saw a 45% increase in murders in April as compared to April of last year. When you treat police like the bad guys, you embolden the bad guys.
Stop the runaround. Continental Audi of Naperville puts you in the driver's seat with straight talk and no hassle. Plus, we offer maintenance, valet service, and VIP loyalty rewards after the sale. It's the Continental difference. Right now, lease a new Audi A4 Quattro Premium Sedan for $419 a month, or lease the incredible Audi A6 for $499 a month. Continental Audi of Naperville has a large selection, including more than 300 new and pre-driven vehicles ready to drive. Plus, qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on certified Audis. Drive an Audi and feel the difference in your driving enjoyment. Drive an Audi from Continental, and you'll know the difference an exceptional dealership can make. Experience the Continental Audi difference. ContinentalAudi.com.
36 monthlies, $35.44 due at Sunday. Includes first month payment, no security tax, extra. Leasing responsible for 25 cents over 30,000 miles and excessive wear and tear. Subject to credit approval through Audi Financial Services.
Hey, the Bolingbrook Golf Club, don't you know it's the location of our annual golf outing this year, sponsored in part by Joe Cotton Ford. But there's more than just golf at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Celebrate Independence Day while you'll have food, fun, and fireworks. You can find out all the details about their 4th of July celebration at BolingbrookGolfClub.com. That's BolingbrookGolfClub.com.
So, for the past 8 years, you've wanted to sell your home but couldn't because you were underwater. Well, thankfully, those days are over. Almost every town in the Chicagoland area is experiencing a strong seller market. I'm John Wright with the Wright Real Estate Group of Keller Williams, and we have ready, willing, and able buyers and not enough homes to offer them. So if you've been thinking about a move across town or a move out of Illinois to a more tax-friendly environment, give me a call. We promise to give you an honest, professional, and experienced opinion on the value of your home. If you like what you hear and feel we're a good fit, let's do business. And if not, we'll still part as friends. The spring market is off to a busy start, so give me a call at 630-202-7241. I look forward to getting to know you.
Call John Wright and the Wright Real Estate Group of Keller Williams at 630-202-7241 or visit WrightRealEstateGroup.com. They'll get you moving at the speed of right.
You know what I learned during our trip to Punta Cana? That a lot of our listeners love their MyPillows, including Jennifer Tyson, who wakes up every morning on her MyPillow with her smartphone nearby, wakes up to this show, and she, like me, love the MyPillow because getting a good night's sleep is so important to our health. And for the month of May, Dan, you can still receive 50% on the MyPillow 4-pack. 2 premium MyPillows, 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, all for the price of 1. And you can move that patented fill to give you the exact support you need, regardless of sleep position. And our friend Mike Lindell makes them here in the USA, and he uses only American labor. You can wash and dry your MyPillow. They're also hypoallergenic. And, of course, you'll get the 10-year warranty with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Don't forget the 50% off the 4-pack. Call 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit mypillow.com. That's 800-489-0201. Promo code Amy.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I've seen it in my lab. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection, and I know that it works.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
When you get in your car, you program your destination into the GPS. You need the best directions to get to where you want to be. The same is true for retirement. You need a voice to guide you along the way. And in Chicago, that voice is Jack Taboda. Join Jack every Saturday morning at 7, right here on 560 The Answer. Jack's nearly 40 years of experience can help make your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street. Take that first step. Tune in Saturday mornings at 7 for retirement planning with Jack Taboda of Taboda and Associates.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so looks like we're going to have a wiener roast in the yard.
Yeah, he was crying on Friday when he pled guilty to transmitting obscene material to a minor. Remember, that included a photo that he sent her with his own child. Well, he'll be sentenced in September. Probably will spend 2 years in prison. He had to register as a sex offender. He had to give up his smartphone. And then, boom, another bomb hit. Uma Abedin filed for divorce, and she's seeking full custody of their 5-year-old. And even when he gets out, he won't be able to visit his son at school because he's a registered sex offender for life.
I hope Uma changes her mind and waits for him, because let me tell you something. Those two were meant for each other.
And think President Clinton married them. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Steve Cortez is going to be here. And later, the new political party, the Dominican Republicans, will explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. 54 degrees. We're in the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Donald Trump, the first sitting U.S. president to visit Jerusalem's Western Wall. The ancient wall considered holy and all that remains of King Herod's expansion of the second Jewish temple 2,000 years ago. Israel is Donald Trump's second stop on his overseas tour.
We can achieve all of our goals together. President Rivlin, I look forward to working with you.
During his 36-hour visit, the president will try to restart the Mideast peace process. He'll also meet with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. Authorities are investigating the murder of a black college student as a hate crime. Police have charged Sean Urbanski with first and second-degree murder in the death of Richard Collins III. Collins was waiting with friends for a ride on the University of Maryland campus when he was stabbed on Saturday. Adoption agencies that turn away prospective parents based on religion will be protected under a measure approved last night by the Texas State Senate. Supporters say the legislation is needed to keep faith-based adoption agencies operating in the state. Jury selection is beginning today in the Bill Cosby sexual assault trial in suburban Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hobbyists no longer have to register their drones as of this morning. Federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. finds the FAA does not have the authority to regulate model aircraft, which is how drones are classified. In 2015, the FAA began enforcing an Obama administration mandate that drone users register in a national database, pay a $5 fee. Authorities are investigating a deadly crash in Aurora. It happened on Orchard Road early this morning. The investigation into the death of a man found in a mall parking garage over the weekend in Skokie continues. Eric Sybeck was found bleeding from a head wound at the Old Orchard Shopping Center. Cubs over the Brewers 13-6. White Sox take 3 of 4 from the Mariners with an 8-1 Sunday win. The news a service of Lowe's. Pro customers at Lowe's save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's business credit account. 5% on all purchases in-store or online, subject to credit approval, U.S. only. 8:33 is our time. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees a troubling trend.
You are doomed if you dare say anything positive about Donald J. Trump. That's what everybody on the left and maybe in the center and maybe some on the right are coming to accept. Can we not talk about our country without the left thinking that you're a Nazi skinhead if you agree with many of Trump's policies?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period.
This is Michael David from Seattle. I'm 51 years old, and 6 months ago, I started taking Andro 400 to increase my testosterone. Since then, I've lost 35 pounds of fat, and my waist went from size 38 to size 32. I have more energy, and I look and feel 20 years younger. And now my wife tells me I have to take Andro 400.
Hi, this is Ron Johnson from Utah. After 10 weeks of taking Andro 400, I lost 13 pounds, and my waist went from 36 to 33. That was 8 years ago. I continue to take Andro 400, and I've maintained my weight at 172. Gained muscle and energy. I'm 63 now and feel better than I have in 30 years.
Andro 400, the natural way to increase testosterone, lose belly fat, gain energy, and feel great. Try Andro 400, the safe, effective, affordable way to boost your testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. 888-400-0435.
8:35. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens is heavy outbound with delays from Montrose to Willow Road. 38 minutes, Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound 21. The Kennedy is an hour either way between O'Hare and downtown. Inbound, the locals are quicker than the express. The Eisenhower, an hour and 14 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. 56 minutes from Mannheim. Outbound, it is an hour and 4 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 19 minutes. 3:55 to the drive. Outbound, 42 minutes. Bryan, looking at 26 minutes from 95th to downtown. Tri-State, southbound stop and go 132 to 137. Northbound from 95th to 31st and Roosevelt to Balmoral. The Adams Tollway's fine. Reagan Tollway slow from 25 to 355. The Veterans Memorial has delays. Boughton most of the way to St. Charles and from the Army Trail toll to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sun this morning, clouds, breezy, warmer, maybe a late day thunderstorm, high 74. Currently 53. Your next news is at 9 Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k rollover specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity this afternoon at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy and Trump in Israel today. I've been in Saudi Arabia over the weekend, and he gave a rather stirring address to Saudi Arabian leaders. And, as much as the D.C. press corps reported his moderating his tone, there were pointed moments in the speech where his position was unmistakable.
Still much work to be done. That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism and the Islamicists and Islamic terror of all kinds. If you choose the path of terror, your life will be empty, your life will be brief, and your soul will be fully condemned. And political leaders must speak out to affirm the same idea. Heroes don't kill innocents, they save them.
And I like, too, that, he was very presidential. I thought he had our best interests at heart, but he reminded them, too, of how much we have suffered at the hands of Islamic terrorists.
Drive them out of your places of worship. Drive them out of your communities. Drive them out of your holy land. And drive them out of this earth.
And in one of the most optimistic flourishes of his speech, he really spoke to the old guard in the room about the younger generations that are coming up, including the Deputy Crown Prince, who is much more liberal, small L, than his elders on matters of women's rights and religious freedom, tolerance. This was, I thought, really his best foray on the topic in terms of speaking directly to the people of Saudi Arabia as well as throughout the Muslim world.
Some estimates hold that more than 95% of the victims of terrorism are themselves Muslim. We now face a humanitarian and security disaster in this region that is spreading across the planet. It is a tragedy of epic proportions. No description of the suffering and depravity can begin to capture its full measure. The true control of ISIS, if you look at what's happening, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, Hamas, and so many others, must be counted not only in the number of dead, it also must be counted in generations of vanished dreams. The Middle East is rich with natural beauty, vibrant cultures, and massive amounts of historic treasures. It should increasingly become one of the great global centers of commerce and opportunity. This region should not be a place from which refugees flee, but to which newcomers flock.
It was really a well-constructed speech, and it reminds us of the challenge we've noted with Trump from the outset, which is when he's got people that are steeped in the policy area on which he is going to speak that prepare remarks for him. He's very good.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's effective.
That's when he's Mr. Trump. When he goes off script into certain topics, particularly when it's of a quasi or very real personal nature, he becomes Dr. Jekyll. And we need to quell Dr. Jekyll and accentuate Mr. Trump, I think. But for more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Cortez, who's a Fox News contributor and also the former head of Donald Trump's Hispanic Advisory Council during the presidential campaign. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Dan, and thanks for having me.
So the president's trip to the Middle East amid all of the domestic controversy regarding the Comey firing and the special counsel appointed last week, square the circle for us on Trump and his handling of the Comey situation and Trump in the Middle East and his handling and kind of rebonding with the Saudis that we saw over the weekend.
Sure. No, I do think there's a relation there of, I think at home, the primary mission is prosperity. I think the reason he was elected is that we've had a decade of slow growth that has been wonderful if you're part of the very top echelon of American economic society, if you're an owner of assets. It's been terrible for working Americans, and particularly the kind of blue-collar people who voted for him in Midwestern states particularly and put him over the electoral edge. But we have to be prosperous at home to then be secure abroad, and I think that's the connection between the two. But to get to the crux of your question regarding Comey, I personally, and I don't think everybody sort of in the Trump team agrees with me, but I personally really welcome the special counsel because I'm utterly confident there was no collusion at any time between the campaign and any foreign entity. I believe that truth will come out eventually. And I also think that this gives the White House, and this has been my advice to my friends in the White House, I hope they pursue it, is this gives us a very legitimate reason to say we are no longer answering these absurd accusations about Russia, about Comey. That is now the job of Mueller, of the special counsel. We're going to put that aside, and let's get back to the bread and butter of why we were elected, which is economic prosperity. Let's get back to this tax plan, and let's get this through to Congress and get this country growing the way we need to again.
Well, but one challenge to that is this. Now you're going to have this issue hang over the White House for the next year, year and a half, 2 years. As this drags out and it goes wherever the special counsel wants to take it, however long he wants to take it. And that kind of leads Trump into a weaker position with respect to some recalcitrant GOP members of the House and the Senate in terms of pursuing his policy agenda and securing policy victories on health care and taxes and the like.
Right. No, again, I hear you on that point, but I guess what was the alternative? The alternative was to continue as we have been, which is just constant, anonymous, shadowy sources that the mainstream media digs up, most of whom, by the way, I doubt the veracity of, or at least I doubt the material nature of most of these leaks. The alternative is we just continue down that constant path of leak after leak, of accusation and denial and rebuttal. So no, it's not perfect. I wish there weren't an issue at all, of course. But I think given the choices, I'm actually happy, and I think the White House, if they message this correctly, can say that is, and particularly if there aren't leaks coming out of Mueller's organization, and he has an incredible reputation for integrity. So as long as his group isn't leaking, I think this story goes away for a while. Now that doesn't mean it's not a problem.
Well,
cable effectively.
Don't you think President Trump, if he's asked again, why did you fire James Comey, that he should just say, I'm not discussing it anymore. Let's have somebody else deal with it.
Yeah, I exactly do. And yes, I agree with you completely, Amy. And again, I think that we have, I don't want to say an excuse because it's legitimate, but we have legitimate reason now to say, look, we have said all along there's no collusion. We're fully confident that will be the final conclusion of the Mueller commission, or not commission, but counsel office, and that's up to them. Now let's get back to what really matters: taxes, health care, immigration. And, in spite of the mainstream media fixation with these absurd Russia accusations, the reality on the ground is actually really encouraging. There's incredible signs for the economy, both in the stock market and economic surveys and consumer confidence. The border is already being secured, mainly just through the words of the president, which is truly incredible. We have Gorsuch from the Supreme Court. So great things are happening. We've got to get the attention back on those things and taxes, which I think is the holy grail of the policy agenda of this administration.
Well, just sticking on special counsel and Comey for a minute, since Comey is going to testify before the Senate at some point, and Chaffetz is meeting with Comey today, apparently. Mueller and Comey go way back. In fact, an excellent piece by Carl Cannon in the Orange County Register over the weekend reminds people that in Mueller's highest profile case as FBI director, he and Comey worked together to botch the anthrax investigation that took the lives of 5 people and infected 17 others, shut down the U.S. Capitol and Washington's mail system back in 2001 by Richard Jeweling. Remember?
Yeah.
They got the wrong guy.
Wrong guy.
Right.
And when they finally got around to getting the right guy, that was a $5 million civil settlement later. That was directed to the wrong guy, and the right guy committing suicide. So, it leaves me a little bit concerned about, despite all the protestations about Mueller's integrity and so on and so forth, it leaves me a little bit concerned about this special counsel and where this goes.
Right. No, and listen, it's a good point. I mean, in theory, the special counsel idea does make me incredibly nervous, the fact that they have the power to go anywhere, right? And that they have also an open-ended checkbook. I mean, that bothers me, of course, right, that they can make this go. I think the Scooter Libby, by the way, was the worst violation of justice, and it lasted 4 years. It's absurd in a pretty simple open and shut matter. So, yeah, I agree. I don't like just handing the keys and saying, hey, drive the car anywhere you want as long as you want. That does worry me. But what doesn't worry me is, and I say this as somebody who was a veteran of the campaign, who knew all the top people in the campaign, I am fully confident no collusion. Now, listen, were there a couple unsavory contacts? It seems like, particularly regarding General Flynn, sure, it seems like it. It seems like he was a little greedy, perhaps made some decisions that were wrong. I think it's why he got fired very quickly. But in terms of the actual campaign and strategy, in any way colluding with any foreign power, it just didn't happen. And I think that will be conclusively proven by Mueller, no matter what he wants to do regarding Comey's reputation.
So how do you think President Trump's going to handle this? Like Nixon or like President Ronald Reagan?
Right. Well, I mean, I hope like Reagan, but, when it comes to Reagan and Iran-Contra, I mean, there was a there. When it comes to collusion with Russia, I'm fully confident, as the president has said repeatedly, that there is absolutely no collusion. So I guess neither would be my honest answer on that. And I want him to get back to focusing on the economy, particularly this tax plan. I think the special counsel appointment gives us the rationale. It effectively tables the issue, if we play it correctly, I think, tables the issue for months at least. And while, I don't love the uncertainty, of course, as long as the economy continues to accelerate, and it is, and we get taxes through, and then we really accelerate into 2018, I think people will actually kind of forget, well, who the heck is Mueller? Until he comes out with his final report.
There's reports out end of last week and over the weekend that there may be a bit of a Trump senior staff shakeup when he gets back from the Middle East, particularly with respect to his comm staff. What can you say to those reports?
I hear the same rumors that you're hearing and reading. A lot of those people are my friends, my good friends. So I don't want to comment honestly on what I think will or should happen. I am reasonably confident that there will be significant staff changes sooner than later, in several places in the White House. And look, while I think there's been great successes, as I talked about, there's also clearly been some serious stumbles. And I think that's also part of electing the first non-politician, non-general in history, the first sort of citizen president. While I think he's done a terrific job, clearly there have been some mess-ups, and some of that's on him, some of that's on the staff. So, some growing pains that I think they're going to sort out pretty quickly. But I also think, by the way, in terms of no growing pains, I mean, holy cow, has this guy with no diplomatic experience gone overseas, and so far, I mean, is hitting it out of the park. And I hope and believe will continue to, now that he's in Israel and then after that in Italy. But extremely impressed with what he did. And particularly, I know you were talking about his speech in Saudi Arabia. I think for an American president to speak to really just about the entire leadership of the Arab world in one room, and I think give them a perfectly balanced approach of, some admonition about you've got to get your house in order. You need to combat this in your countries, in your banking systems, in your schools. But at the same time saying, but we are also not going to be lecturers. And I think what he was saying by implication there is we're also not going to be nation builders. We're done with that. It hasn't worked for us. It hasn't made your world safer. So instead, we're going to have a strategic partnership to fight terror that makes sense for both sides. And so he, to me, showed that he was extremely ready to be president despite having no political experience.
Okay, future Press Secretary Steve Cortez.
there you go.
Don't forget us when you ascend to the White House the White House press room. And
would never forget you two, no matter where, no matter what podium I'm speaking at.
Very good. All
Maybe
right.
we could Skype in a question.
Fox News contributor. Yeah, right, exactly. Fox News contributor and former Donald Trump Hispanic Advisory Council head, Steve Cortez. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you both.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
How would you describe your health care? If you're like most Americans these days, the word affordable isn't top of mind. Well, here's some good news. There's actually a trusted healthcare option that is affordable. It's called MediShare. Unlike insurance, MediShare is Christian healthcare sharing, a community of more than 200,000 believers across America who share each other's medical expenses. It's about half the cost of insurance, and it's fully acceptable under the law. And here's the best part. Because Medishare is based on biblical principles, you never pay for things that go against your beliefs. Medishare is affordable health care for Christians.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 844-41-BIBLE. Now available in Montana. Medishare, affordable biblical health care. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE.
Hey, school year is coming to an end. Actually, it has ended for some, but many of you weren't happy with your last year school experience for your child. Well, now's the perfect time to think about next year and about sending your child to a private school. Go to halfpriceschools.com. You can find local private schools from all over the Chicagoland area, including Chicago, Arlington Heights, Wheaton, Mount Prospect, just to name a few. Full year of tuition at half the price, no catch. Go to halfpriceschools.com. Do it today. These vouchers always sell out. That's halfpriceschools.com.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
They are here, circling over your head, and they're tracking you down. You feel overwhelmed, like you can't escape. You need a solution to get your back taxes filed, to put your life back on track. You need someone who can keep the vultures at bay and work directly with the IRS to leverage every opportunity to settle your tax debt. Mary Karpowitz, CEO of Comprehensive Tax Solutions, is licensed to represent you before the IRS. Don't let the IRS threaten you. You should never need to speak to them directly. Mary does that for you. Comprehensive Tax Solutions will help you settle your entire IRS tax debt for up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest if you qualify. Comprehensive Tax Solutions, family owned in Chicagoland, can be a lifesaver for you. Call 708-478-6770, 708-478-6770, or go to resolveyourtaxproblems.com. Call 708-478-6770 now.
What are you doing the 4th of July? Get to the Bolingbrook Golf Club Tuesday, July 4th starting at 2 p.m. There's fun for the entire family and free admission. Check out live music and great food. Plenty of kids' activities and inflatables. Choose from over a dozen local restaurants and food trucks. Then the highlight of the 4th of July, a 30-minute fireworks show presented by the Village of Bolingbrook. Don't miss the 4th of July blowout at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. More info at bolingbrookgolfclub.com. Sponsored by COTG, Pepsi, Southern Glacier, and Miller Lite.
Hey, if you'd like to have insurance for your computer network, something to protect your hardware and software, and more importantly, give you peace of mind, then call Turnkey IT for installation and support of your system. It is like having insurance for your computer network. For one affordable monthly payment, your company gets a full team of certified technicians who are there for you. They're working in the background to ensure your systems are up and running. They help you over the phone and make house calls if necessary, but they don't wait until there's an emergency. They work hard to take preventative measures to keep your network secure, backed up, and running nonstop. Turnkey IT can protect your network with the turnkey experience, with everything including Office 365 hosting and so much more. To find out all the information, all the juicy details, go to turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Whether you own or rent, you know there's nothing quite like a fresh coat of paint to make your home look and feel new again. Chances are one of the rooms in your home could use some fresh paint. Whether it's a full interior or exterior repaint, a creative mural, or just a fun accent wall, getting your home or business painted can be difficult and expensive. From searching for a qualified professional to choosing colors to negotiating a price. Not anymore. At PaintZen.com, we make painting fast, simple, and affordable. Quotes are free and there's never any extra fees or surprises. surprises. Just go to paintzen.com, use code FRESH, and see how easy it is to choose from thousands of high-quality Benjamin Moore paint colors and price out any size job from one room to an entire house. Just go to paintzen.com and take the pain out of painting. That's paintzen.com, code FRESH, and get a fast, free, no-hassle quote. Visit paintzen.com and use code FRESH to get a free quote for any home painting project. Go to paintzen.com now. Use code FRESH. Paintzen.com, code FRESH.
Links for Liberty, sponsored by the Illinois Policy Institute, is a day-long golf event that supports and celebrates making Illinois a freer, more prosperous state. Join the Illinois Policy Institute and me at Mistwood Golf Course in Romeoville on Monday, June 5th. To find out more and to register for this great day of golf, visit linksforliberty.com or illinoispolicy.org.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I've been telling you about Relief Factor for about 6 months now. I've been using Relief Factor for a lot longer than that. If you're struggling with ongoing back or neck pain, shoulder, hip, knee pain, general muscle aches and pain, do what I did. Go to relieffactor.com, order their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. Try it for 3 weeks, $19.95. Relieffactor.com. That's relieffactor.com, or call toll-free 800-500-8384, 800-500-8384.
AM 560, The Answer.
Well, we really want to thank Apple Vacation, Secrets Cap Cana, all of our listeners who came with us.
All of our Dominican Republicans.
Yeah, we came up with new names for everybody, and that's our new political party, Dominican Republicans, because they love Donald Trump because he started Cap Cana, that whole area. He decided the golf course is going to go here, the marina is going to go here, a resort or two will go here, and he gave Dominicans jobs, and they're very appreciative of Donald Trump.
A lot of construction going on in the Cap Cana region, both homes as well as malls. It's really seems like it's on the come, so good for them. And I want to thank my friend Garrett Vespo and your friend too, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, for enduring a round of golf with me on Friday at Pete Dye's Teeth of the Dog, which was my worst round of the year.
Oh, okay.
It was just terrible.
You
and
got
I also
to witness that.
Yeah, and I also want to thank my caddy Mario for enduring it as well. I'm sorry, Mario. I apologize for desecrating Teeth of the Dog.
Oh, gosh. We really had a wonderful time. And again, thanks to Apple Vacations and our listeners. We couldn't do it without you. We love the repeat guests because they feel like they're family.
Amazing Jonathan and Jennifer from Wichita.
Yeah, and Rick from Des Plaines and Debbie. And, I mean, the list goes on. And we just appreciate them and love them. They're like family. We'd go on excursions, and I'd actually miss Garrett and Rick. When I got back, I just wanted to see them.
And we thank you for being the beach volleyball drill sergeant that organized the games for a couple of days.
Go to our website and look at all the fun that we had, and maybe you can join us next year. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're watching right now. A man found shot to death at a Skokie Mall.